along Broad Street where there aren't people. But we're giving you this live look so you can see just the thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are along the parade route, just here to get a glimpse of the players and their families. And by the way, I'm going to tell you this. These guys are all going to have their cell phones out.
Oh, yeah.
This is something that most of them have not ever experienced or seen. They're going to be filming as they go.
Yeah, although I got to tell you, I've been trying to post on my social media accounts, and
Your phone's dead.
It's frozen. It's like it's either frozen from the weather or it's just too many people down here. But, that's a good thing. We'll take it.
Well, we're talking parade here, and we're talking Super Bowl, but we're also talking Olympics. Don't forget, our coverage begins tomorrow. The Winter Olympics from Pyeongchang, South Korea.
8 o'clock.
Competition starts today, so get started the day before the opening ceremony. And of course, our Keith Jones is there covering that event for us live. We've got so much for you right here as we continue our coverage of the Parade of Champions and NBC 10 special from South Philly.
Count on it.
I'd like to dedicate this to all the
and they're helping each other, and there's just a sense of camaraderie right now.
And they're watching the game again and acting as if it was live.
Yeah.
Folks are cheering on touchdowns. They're booing on bad calls. It is just a wonderful atmosphere. Once again, as far as the eye can see, we're right in front of the staging area, and we can almost see all the way back to City Hall. I know we're going to have a lot of different chopper shots and things going on, but this is just unreal. It goes all the way back to City Hall.
I've never seen a crowd like this. This is definitely, this feels more crowded to me than the Pope for sure, in terms of just we just walked through trying to get here, and there's not even space in between people.
None. It's shoulder to shoulder like we anticipated. Folks are doing the Foles cheer. They're doing Fly, Eagles, Fly. It's just an unbelievable day, and we're just getting started.
That's right. Let's take a break right now. We'll be right back with more coverage. Yeah.
You can. Oh, I cannot hear Jess.
From South Philadelphia all the way up toward the Art Museum, we're looking live at Broad, Oregon in South Philly, where you could hear those Eagles fans chanting
And take a look at Broad and Passyunk. A great position if you want to come and watch the parade. People have been there for hours this morning.
All right, Skyforce 10 live over Philadelphia, capturing the scene and the sea of green from above. I mean, there isn't one stop along this route that's an open gap, an open hole. I mean, you just got people packed to the gills, so to speak.
Shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip. Let's take a look at Broad and Fitzwater, where people are lined up there. And by the way, Rosemary, for those folks that are out there, they probably are not watching us right now, but they have just started the parade. The first vehicle has just driven by. Let's give you a live look at Skyforce 10 overlooking South Philadelphia and the thousands of people who are lined up here. They're excited, they're cheering, they can't wait to see their heroes.
Hey, Vi, we got great fans who are with us, and I know they'd love to talk to you, tell you their story. So you head over across the street. I think we've got one last picture to show you. This is the live look at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. This is where the ceremony caps off today. This is where the parade makes its way
you guys
from
on live
South
television
Philly.
right now in Philadelphia.
Let's check in with Vi.
Hey! Baby girl, Vi. My baby daughter, I get to experience with her, man. It's the greatest day ever, buddy.
Who brought kids? Everybody brought kids?
My son Ben, my daughter Olivia, my wife Annie.
Where are you guys from?
New Jersey. Originally from Bristol, Pennsylvania. Spotswood, New Jersey.
Bristol, Pennsylvania. You guys are awesome. Where are you guys from?
We're from Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
I can hardly hear you. I can't hear anything.
I flew from Jacksonville, Florida, just for today in this parade.
You came from Jacksonville?
Oh, absolutely.
So were you at the last Super Bowl?
No, I wasn't living in Jacksonville.
It doesn't matter because we lost that one. This one we won.
This is the one. I came up to celebrate this Eagles victory today.
How long have you guys been here?
They've been living up here since 2000.
How long have you guys been here this morning?
Down here?
About 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. You guys came late, but you got great spots.
Can't complain. Hey,
You guys-
it's the Florida luck I brought with me.
That's what it is. You guys are awesome. Where are you guys from?
Southern Delaware.
Southern Delaware. Where are you from?
Delaware, same with
You guys been together?
Yes.
Wow, you lucked out, dude. You lucked out. Oh, you got to go back across the street.
สวัสดีทุกท่านครับกลับมาพบกันอีกแล้วนะครับกับโบบูล้มโต๊ะนะครับผม
While Vi is signing autographs, we're also taking a live look at some of the buses that will be making their way from Lincoln Field, heading up Broad Street, passing by these throngs, these crowds out here. I mean, you got people packed up against that barricade. Man of the people, Vi Sikahema. Not that they needed to get revved up anymore, Vi.
They are nuts. I'm like over there feeding red meat to the to my base there. Yeah, unbelievable.
Hey, you got people who probably watched you as an Eagle, watched you soar as an Eagles player.
Some of the older folks, yeah, their kids have no idea who I am other if they've watched me on television. But yeah, they don't even know that I played football. But it's so fun just to go over there because those people have been thinking. A woman over there flew in from Jacksonville this morning or last night.
Sure.
They come in here and just be here for the parade. She's from Philadelphia, but this is what happens. People fly in from all over. They drive in from all over the place because they want to be here. They do not want to miss something so historic.
It's a rite of passage. This is a moment that will live in Philadelphia history, and you want to be part of it.
And our continuing coverage of this parade, a parade of champions, will continue on NBC 10 right after this. Stay with us.
That enjoyed this moment, that rode through the city streets as champions, were guys that when they were hired were almost mocked. I mean, Charlie Manuel and Doug Peterson. I mean, they were guys, who are these guys? They're bumpkins. They can't play in the big city. We're never going to win with them. They said that about Charlie Manuel. They made fun of Charlie Manuel. Hey, oh wait, he took this ride. And now you got Doug Peterson, who was the coach that when he was hired, nobody knew who he was. They said there are so many other better candidates out there. What's Jeffrey Lurie doing? What's he thinking? Nobody else in the league was interested in hiring this guy. His phone never rang. What do the Eagles see in him? Well, you know what? This is what they saw in him. And I really do believe that after what this city and the fans and the team went through with Chip Kelly, a coach like this was exactly what was needed. And he's brought the whole team together. He's healed all the problems that existed within the organization. And right now, everyone in the city of Philadelphia, believe me, if they didn't know who Doug Peterson was a couple years ago, they all know who he is today.
Yeah. There's Chris Long in his fur coat. Chris Long with his Allen Iverson jersey. The rest of the guys, there's the outfit that he is rocking. And
we talked about emotional intelligence. Well, emotional intelligence just won a Super Bowl here in Philadelphia. I mean, we thought that he would come in and kind of be like a stopgap to an even better coach. But he ended up being the coach we needed to bring us a Super Bowl.
Why did we not foresee that?
I think mostly because he doesn't have that, what do you call it, je ne sais quoi, that, you know, or the big names that we were looking to come in and take the reins from Chip Kelly. We wanted a standout star that everybody was talking about, and all we needed was a guy to come in and really show this team how to be a team.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly was more so him being that guy. He's going to win the Super Bowl for us. And Doug came in and really changed things around and said, we can do it together. Not me by myself, not the quarterback by himself, but us as a team, us as a unit, being what's going to bring us together to win the Super Bowl.
It's really true, Michael. I talked Ron Jaworski, who I'm sure is here in this crowd somewhere. I don't think I'll ever find him, but I'm sure he's here. Ron Jaworski was part of the interview process when they were looking for their next coach. He went out with Don Smolinski and Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman to interview the candidates, and he was part of the Doug Peterson interview. And we all knew that, and he talked about it. And about 2 or 3 weeks after the hiring, I saw Ron over at NFL Films, and I said to him, you were part of the Peterson, and Ron said, he is the right guy. He said, trust me, he is the, and I said, Ron, his credentials, he's never been, Ron said, we got the right guy. That's what he said. And at the time, I mean, you had to accept it on faith, because that's really all you had to go on. But he was proven to be right in every way you could possibly be right. I mean, I still can't quite get my arms around the fact that Doug Peterson was not Coach of the Year.
Right.
In a couple of weeks, the Maxwell Football Club will rectify that because they're honoring him as Coach of the Year. But the job that Doug Peterson did this year is one of the great coaching jobs in the history of this city and in the history of the National Football League.
And those media, that really, I don't know any other way to say it, they should be ashamed. That one vote, are you kidding? And then he wins the Super Bowl, and I know it's based on regular season performance, but he was only 13-3. Really,
that's all.
Not too good.
Yeah.
Not too good as they continue on. Who is this guy? Is it Aladdin? Is it some genie? No.
Jason
Kelsey.
He would be amongst the people. That's the type of guy he is. God is amongst the people.
Yeah. Well, Rob Ellis put out a beautiful piece yesterday. Rob Ellis of NBC Sports Philadelphia put out a beautiful piece, and in it detailed the emotion displayed by Ray and David Dittinger. It detailed the emotion displayed by Danny Palmels in thinking about a win for the Eagles. And it's that man right there, Jason Kelsey, who broke down on the podium after the Super Bowl in tears of joy because he had stayed the distance, gone the distance, stayed the course. And his parents had encouraged him, and he said, I can't go any further in this sport than I just did today. And that is a powerful, powerful feeling. And
Huge.
And it really, I think it had a deep effect on anybody who saw it.
Well, you know what, Michael? Looking at this, it makes me think, because I was here in 1960 when the Eagles won this the last time. This team is already ahead of where that team was then. Because by now, in 1960, the coach and the quarterback had both resigned.
Right.
The Eagles won the championship in 1960, and immediately after the game, the head coach, Buck Shaw, announced he was retiring, and the quarterback, Norm Van Brocklin, announced that he was retiring.
Wow.
So I don't really foresee Doug Peterson coming up here today and announcing his his retirement. I don't think that's happening, nor do I think Carson Wentz and Nick Foles are going to retire either. But that was what happened in 1960. Both of those guys walked away. Buck Shaw, they won the championship, and on Monday morning he got on an airplane and flew back to San Francisco to resume running his corrugated box company.
Wow.
And Norm Van Brocklin retired as a player and went on to become the first head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. So a little bit of a different situation with the Eagles now.
A little different today. Amy Fadul standing by at Xfinity Live. Amy.
Michael, I don't know if you guys caught it, but Brian Dawkins is on one of these buses, and I think the cheers for him were just as loud as it was when Doug Peterson came by and Howie Roseman had the trophy. They stopped actually right in front of us, and Howie Roseman just lifted up that Lombardi trophy, and the crowd went bananas. My favorite thing so far, though, is seeing the faces of the players when they make the turn and they see the sea of people. And to think this is just the beginning. This is just the first 20 feet of this parade. They've got another 4.5 miles to go. I could not wait to see what they think when they turn on Broad Street, because there are easily 5,000 or 6,000 people here at Patterson alone, and they're going bananas every time they just start shelling out McGarrett and Chris Long, and you can tell the players respond to it. And Brian Dawkins was great to see. Everybody went bananas for him.
Yeah, and I'm sure he will no doubt be singled out by Jeffrey Lurie in his remarks from the podium today. But, Amy, it's funny, when Doug Peterson addressed his team after the game, he said, feel this feeling now? This is what you played for. And I was thinking, no, this today, right now, this feeling, that's what you played for, right?
Exactly. I mean, there's not a single player that is not enjoying this and loving it. You know, they're getting handed beers and cigars and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, they're taking part. It was funny. I read something the Phillies put out, and they had advice from guys like Brad Lidge and Pat Burrell and Chase Utley. And they said, take advantage of this because it's the best feeling in the world. Winning is amazing, but there's nothing like celebrating with your city. And you can tell that's exactly what these players are doing. Their families, the coaching staff, the front office, we saw Mike Quick and Merrill out there. They're celebrating with their fans and their city because they know that's who this is for.
As Amy mentioned before, we showed you on the map, they're coming out on 11th Street between the Wells Fargo Center and Lincoln Financial Field. They make a left on Patterson Avenue, and they're greeted by the throngs there. Incidentally, that banner behind them, you see Citizens Bank Way, the Phillies hanging that banner and honoring their
Jalen Mills is in the
neighbors.
crowd.
Jalen Mills is in the crowd. The Green Goblin.
Yeah, you see him?
Yeah, he said on Jimmy Fallon the other night, I'm stuck with the green hair. He said that's my calling card. I guess I'm stuck with it. And when my hair goes as I age, I'm going to the beard.
Wow, so, this is a beautiful moment. Beautiful moment.
It is a beautiful moment, and that's Patterson right there. The intersection of Broad Street and Patterson Avenue. And the buses turn up Broad, and we should continue to hammer the point that never before have we had a championship celebration go up Broad Street and finish at the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
That's only because we couldn't mail it.
Yeah, Danny Palmells, go ahead.
Hey, Michael, we're here on the parade route. Things are underway, and my goodness, what an ovation these guys received as they eased out of the parking lot here at Lincoln Financial Field. We got guys going into the crowd. We have confetti everywhere. They're throwing things from the bus, T-shirts and memorabilia and things like that. And it's funny looking at some of the signs. Of course, let's go have some ice cream, referencing Doug Peterson, who loves ice cream. Jenkins cooks Pats, I see. So it's just everything you might expect, and the players just ear to ear, grins and smiles, enjoying it. They got their GoPros out. They got their cameras out. Their families are here. Everybody's having fun in a way that only a Super Bowl can bring, Michael. And I tell you what, as a Philly native and somebody who's born and raised in this city, it's making my heart flutter a little bit.
I bet. I don't blame you, Danny Palmells. It makes my heart flutter just watching the whole thing as they come up Broad Street, end up here. Where's Derek Gunn? What's going on, Gunner?
Well, Michael, as you can see, it's not just a celebration. This is a party, Michael. I mean, these people came to let it all out today. The music is playing now. Everybody's dancing to the beat now. They can't wait for the team to get here. You look all up and down these fences, Michael. These people have to be about 100 deep. I mean, this crowd goes all the way beyond the bridge on the other side of the art museum here. And they're going to be in a festival. I hope they have enough energy to sustain until the team actually gets here, Michael. But I'm going to send it back to you because I'm about to get lost in the crowd and party with these people and show them that I still have a few dance moves left.
I want to see that. Go on. Go on up there. Let's see what you got.
You want to see it now?
I want to see it.
People, come on.
Bust a move.
Yeah.
Bust a move.
Yeah. Look at these are people, Michael. This is Philadelphia's 5 million plus dance party today.
Oh my! Keep dancing,
look at these people, Michael.
Keep dancing. Derek Dunn at the Super Bowl parade, and he's lighting up the fans.
That just goes to show you. That's what NBC Sports Philadelphia is all about, authentic fans. These guys are authentic. Authentic fans here in Philadelphia. We just won a Super Bowl as fans. I'm no longer thinking of myself as an analyst. I am a fan today of the Philadelphia Eagles winning Super Bowl 52.
Ray, you mentioned something about that as well, about the little boy fan still within you. You said it to Amy the other night after we returned from Minneapolis, and I don't know if there was any surprise in your voice when you said it. I always knew it was within you, and I thought you had done a great job in trying to successfully suppress that. But you come on, man. I know you want to win. You can say, I really don't care, Mike. All you want. But I know that deep down, somewhere your heart has got green in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I wrote Tommy and Me, the me and Tommy and me is still in me. I mean, there's no question about that. You grow up with this team the way I did, with a family that loved the team this much, that we spent our entire summer vacations up at Hershey at their training camp watching practice. Yeah, it runs pretty deep in my family, and it certainly runs deep in me. I really do thought a lot about what this would have meant to my parents or grandparents if they'd been here to see it. It was something they talked about a lot. We shared the moment in 1960 when they beat the Packers over at Franklin Field, which isn't all that far from here. That was a day that we all shared together, and this team remained very special to them right to the very end. So, yeah, this is a very special time. I'm a reporter, but today I think I'm a little bit of fan.
I think so. Ray Didinger said it, and he meant it. As we continue up Broad Street, that's the first float. Looks like carrying the Eagles cheerleaders, and they have the easiest job in the world today. I mean, I think they can just stand there and draw the cheers. But that is the first float paving the way for the team and team personnel. What I started to mention was this is the first time a championship parade will end on the Parkway and at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And Danny mentioned earlier in the program that this is where the NFL held the draft in 2017. So it is fitting, as we look at Jason Kelce alongside the buses, it is fitting that it comes full circle from draft 2017 to Super Bowl championship parade that marks the 2017 season. Jason
Kelce looks like he's either left over from the Mummers Day parade or he's early for the next Mummers Day.
And here's the thing. You see Jason Kelce with the Bud Light in his mouth, and we thank our friends at Bud Light who are sponsors of the parade. And you'll recall the bet made between Bud Light and Lane Johnson saying, you get there, with the beer's on us. You walk up to any watering hole on the way up here, you can have a free Bud Light. Amy, what's down at the stadium area?
I'm so glad you saw our resident mummer. Right before you came to us, Michael, he actually borrowed, and I will use that term borrowed because that is what he did. He asked permission, one of the police officers' bicycles and rode it all the way up Broad and up to Broad and then all the way back around. And then started taking some fan shots and some selfies. Then all the guys started getting out. We saw Lane Johnson get off the bus. We saw Jason Peters get off the bus. They're taking pictures with fans. They're maybe partaking in a beverage or two with fans. And And it's just amazing. They're having the time of their lives. It's like Christmas for these guys right now. You just saw the bus pass with Zach Ertz and Brent Celek, and the defensive backs were the one before that. But every single guy, to a man, is pretty much getting off. And you saw Jalen Mills out there with his fan, but there was no bigger crowd favorite than, of course, our mummer, Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, and that's what you hope that all the players do. And this team has that connection with the city and with itself. They have a great sense of humor, almost to a man. And when Jason Kelsey got out of his car like that with the Aladdin outfit on, you thought, okay, it's on, you know. And Jalen Mills following suit, getting off the buses. And don't be surprised if that happens all the way up Broad Street. And you heard Danny tell us earlier that the buses will be traveling about 3 miles an hour. So it's going to be a little bit before they get up here. Danny, what's going on bus 16?
Well, guys are on and off the bus, enjoying themselves, having fun with the fans and high-fiving and the whole bit. We got Torrey Smith here, got himself all ready to go for this. Your second Super Bowl, how's this different or the same as the other ones?
It's crazy. It's definitely more special knowing that it's the first one in this city and what we've been through as a team. I mean, it's just unreal. And to see the energy, we haven't even made out the parking lot yet. It is unreal.
It turned out to be a good decision to come here, I guess, huh?
Absolutely. Easily one of the best decisions I made in my life, and it goes beyond just this moment.
And, your wife's from the area. I always have to harp on that a little bit. What was it like for your in-laws and seeing you help lead this team to victory?
It means a lot. I was up in Catoctin, I guess yesterday, and everyone's going crazy. Stopped by my little sister's school, and the kids are going crazy. So the energy's amazing, and to know that I was a small piece of that is special.
How do you feel bringing this title to these Philadelphia fans?
This city deserves it. It's been way too long, and to be a part of this special group that was able to bring it home and to see the smiling faces, the families together, there's nothing like this.
Torrey, we appreciate your time. Guys on here with their families enjoying themselves. We don't take too much time from them because they're trying to enjoy the moment. But at the same time, think about Howie Roseman's decision to bring all these guys in on this one-year contract. I'd like to hear Ray and Barrett talk about that a little bit more. LeGarrette Blount, Chris Long, guys like Torrey Smith and whatnot, who really have made such a big difference with this organization and this team and propelled them to these heights that no one thought that this was a season that would happen, Michael.
You're right, Danny, and get back to Torrey. You got him trapped, man. He can't go anywhere. We'll be back with two Danny Pommels. He's got all the players on bus 16, and he brings up a good point with regard to Torrey Smith, brought here as the number 2 receiver, brought here as a speedster, did have somewhat of a propensity to drop a ball every now and again, did it in the Super Bowl. I thought it was great that Doug Peterson went back to him the very next play in the Super Bowl. He's got amazing talent. The consistency he's tried to work on. That'd be right.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Danny brought up a good point there, which is the way this team was assembled. A lot of new pieces, a lot of new players, a lot of one-year contracts, a lot of free agents. And, sometimes that can backfire, Mike. I mean, sometimes you bring a lot of new guys into a situation, veteran guys. Some guys maybe have won before, some guys haven't won before. But you bring them together and you put them in a locker room, and there's no guarantee that the chemistry is going to be right.
Right.
I mean, right. Lord knows we lived through that with Dream Team. I mean, everybody looked at that roster and said, boy, you got a lot of good players here. They're all coming in. This is going to work. Well, it didn't. Not only didn't it work, it was a catastrophe. It didn't work. So when you brought this together, there were a lot of people that were asking, has Howie just opened the door to Dream Team 2? But right from the beginning, and really almost right from training camp, you could see there was something special with this team, with this group of guys. They fit. It all fit. The starters were good. They had good depth, which they certainly needed over the course of the year with the injuries they suffered. And they had an advantage, Mike. They had a big advantage with the quarterback salary being what it was. Carson Wentz was still on his rookie contract. They brought Nick Foles in. Between the two of them right now, the combined salaries of Carson Wentz and Nick Foles right now, the two of them together are making less than 18 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Okay? So that's what a bargain you have at the quarterback position. So now, if you have that extra money, you can do the kinds of things that Howie Roseman said, which was go out and bring in some of the players they did. Chris Long, LeGarrette Blount, Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, and put them all together. And they had the opportunity, they had the moment, the right people were available, and Howie Roseman made the right decisions. And, a lot of what we saw this year, you have to really give him credit because much of it was his doing.
One more time, down to Amy Badul as the buses have now all left the stadium area. Amy, kind of lonely now?
Is it?
I guess not.
Think it's lonely? They're very excited, Michael.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, the buses have gone past. They're turning on Broad. I can see them back there. They're turning on Broad right now. And where are you guys from?
Levittown.
What time did you get here today?
I've been here since 3 a.m.
Oh, my goodness.
Levittown, 3 a.m.
Lebanon County. I lived here. I was here overnight. I slept here.
You slept here?
I hope my grandma's.
Oh, you're okay, good. I was worried actually there for just a second. These are the authentic fans. You know that's how they roll. The only way to roll. The buses are gone past. I'm sure everybody's formulating a plan how to get out to the Art Museum now. So it's definitely a little bit of a smaller crowd, but no less enthusiastic as the buses now turn on Broad. Michael?
All right, Ames, thank you very much. Yeah, Barrett, they've got a choice now. Either they go home and watch the parade coverage on NBC Sports Philadelphia, or they bring up the rear. They end up here at the Parkway. They extend the celebration, which either one is good, but it's going to really swell this whole area that's already bursting at the seams.
No question, and we talked about Carson and how he's on his rookie deal right now and how it bodes well for the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, another thing that Carson did was make this an attractive hub for veteran players to come in and play for him. This is destination Super Bowl now, and there are going to be a lot of guys that are going to want to come here and play with the young Carson Wentz. They're going to want to get on this bandwagon and understanding that there's an opportunity to win and win now. And I think that's what Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, LeGarrette Blount, I thought all of them did that. They jumped on the bandwagon because they knew it was an opportunity for them to get in a place where they could be great and grow with a young guy like him. And, speaking of authentic fans out here, this is exactly what that team is. This team has been a bunch of misfit guys that fit well together, guys that don't necessarily fit the norm as far as a superstar, because really, if you look at their statistics, there are no superstars with the exception of Carson Wentz on this team. So these are authentic fans with an authentic team, which gave them our first authentic Super Bowl.
Up Broad Street they come, and of that, Ray, remember the Michael Barkan three-pronged plan for a Super Bowl championship. You got to assess talent, you got to coach talent, and the talent's got to be talent, like Barrett Brooks was talent, And so really you can make a strong argument that the most important prong is assessing the talent, which is one of the main reasons Howie Roseman received NFL Executive of the Year. He picked the talent. So does he have enough talent to do this again next year? Then he say yes.
Yeah, I think they do. Although it's very interesting, the odds for next season are already out, and the Eagles are not favored.
They will be, believe me, once those punks from New England go away.
Listen, I saw one set of Vegas numbers that had, of course, New England the favorite in the AFC, but had Green Bay the favorite in the NFC. So, hey, listen. Tell the Eagles when the parade's over they're underdogs yet again. That'll get them all started. That'll get them pointed in the right direction for next year. But, Mike, you're right about the acquisition of talent, the talent that was brought in, that Howie Roseman capitalized on the opportunity that was presented to him. He gets full credit for that. But once you get the talent in the house, you have to coach it properly. And that's one of the things that we've given tremendous credit to Doug Peterson, and justly so. He had a great year. We've given a lot of credit to Jim Schwartz and to Frank Reich because they did a great job as the coordinators. But I'll tell you, top to bottom, and I think Barrett will back me up on this, the group of assistant coaches, the position coaches, is to me really as good a group as this Eagles team has had. I thought Andy Reid's original staff, which had, of course, on it had Spagnuolo and it had Harbaugh and it had Jim Johnson and Ron Rivera and a lot of guys that went on and had success as head coaches elsewhere. That was a terrific staff, which contributed mightily to the success that Andy's teams had in the early years. And as you saw, as those guys went away for other opportunities, that's part of the reason I really think that the team went into decline. But if you look around now and you watch practice now, or you go to training camp now and you watch how well these position coaches teach their positions to these players. I mean, you take good players and you coach them well and you teach them well, you make good players better.
Right.
And I really felt that that was one of the things you saw with this team over the course of the year, that guys actually, from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, got better. And I think that, that's good coaching that filters all the way down from the top.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, you have a coaching staff that could be head coaches. In fact, there are still 2 or 3 guys still on the radar of Indianapolis, the New York Giants, and have an opportunity to be a coordinator or a head coach there. So when you have that type of talent at the coaching position, and then you're having your guys excel the way they excelled here, it just goes to show that they're going to be good for a long time if they keep these core group of guys and core group of coaches here.
And I really felt more strongly about their chances to, if not repeat, certainly get back there, because Frank Reich remains, because Jim Schwartz remains, John D. Filippo will be here, who is such a help to Carson Wentz and in the play design. That is all. Dave Phipp, the special teams coach, Deuce Staley, they're all still the same. The continuity is the same, and that's so important. And we'll see what that means as we head toward next season. But today's the day we celebrate what has just transpired.
Wow.
Let's go back up to float 16. Danny Palmel's with more in it. Look at that. Take it easy now, Fletcher. Danny Palmel's on the
Michael,
float.
here it is. AT&T station. Yeah, AT&T station. I caught the training today, and to see how this station is flooded with people right now is pretty hilarious to me. But we're making that turn. We are officially on Broad Street off of Patterson Avenue, and we're going ever so slowly. So as we make this turn, we're going to make sure our photographer's safe as we make this turn. But the thing is that the fans have gotten to a point where the barricades aren't enough, and if you can see the police cars, they had to form a police car barricade here because people were coming over from the NovaCare complex to see, the players turn the corner here. But the confetti's flying, people can't stop screaming, and it's just as you might imagine, Michael. We can't wait to get to where you are, but the lead up to getting there is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you, my friend. But here's the thing, Danny. What is the look on the faces of the players? Look, we saw the Phillies parade in 2008. It might not be this big when it's all said and done, but certainly it was 1 million or 2 million persons here. They could not have expected what they're seeing today.
Hey, the only choices that have been made so far on this bus, as I've seen it, is between red or white wine. So, these guys are enjoying themselves. They're relaxed. They're smiling. They got their phones out. They're on social media. I mean, this is the type of, you see the arms flapping here with Bryce Treggs and Alshon Jeffrey here. It's just complete euphoria between the fans and the players. It's like a symbiotic relationship is going on here where everybody's got the same mindset at the same time. So it's like nothing even has to be said. You can just start flapping your wings and somebody else will start flapping their wings. You got guys up in trees here, people standing on top of statues. I mean, it's pandemonium, Michael.
Thank you, Danny. And just for a point of reference, frame of reference, really, Danny said the last bus just made its way onto Broad Street. So the parade is officially entirely on Broad Street, going up Broad. But the front of the parade is at Broad, Oregon. And Ray, I would say that, I don't know if it's quite a mile, maybe a half, 3/4 of a mile. It's a decent walk from Broad and Patterson to Broad, Oregon. But that's the length of this parade right here. And you see the motorcycle police. They are paused, they are poised. Let's get this together. Let's be in unison, and let's get it on. Up Broad Street. That is a sight. That is majestic. And then to cap it off with Swoop atop the bus. I mean, you can't get finer than that, can you?
Well, right there, not that far from Swoop, and Amy referenced it a little while ago, is Merrill Reese and Mike Quick. And I feel really good for those two guys. because Merrill Reese has been doing play-by-play for the Eagles since 1976. He's the longest continuous radio voice of any broadcaster in the National Football League, going all the way back there. And
hey, JR,
he's been waiting for this moment for a long time. And Mike Quick was one of the great players in the history of this franchise, one of the best receivers in the NFL, one of the best of his era, went to 5 consecutive Pro Bowls, and never had a chance to play in a Super Bowl, much less win one. And I know it's something that Mike always wanted, and to have an opportunity to actually see it happen, call it as it happened, and then be part of this parade, I'm really happy for him.
Same here, Ray. Same here. Merrill Reese just finishing
I'm ready.
his 41st year in the booth. Danny Palmels, go ahead.
We have a couple of completions here, a couple of incompletions as well, but the beer from the crowd to the players has been completed a couple times here. A couple times it's going over the float. But, just like if you saw the Phillies players tweeted to let the Eagles players know what the championship parade will be like, so be on the lookout. A few guys said, I think Brett Myers, Chad Durbin chimed in to let them know, be on the lookout for people throwing beers up to the float. And no doubt about it, we've had a few of those completed here today. And some good hands on this Eagles team, as we know.
I can't make out, I don't know if you see this shot, Danny. Someone's pouring one out for the fans. It looks like one of the players. And you were talking about the incompletion. Here we go. Here's another little, whoa! Almost. Come on, you got to have better hands than that.
That was Trey Burton. Real Alshon Jeffrey.
That was Alshon Jeffrey. That's the entrance, the approach to the Walt Whitman Bridge. And there's the parade going underneath. That is spectacular. You're watching coverage of NBC Sports Philadelphia Super Bowl parade of the Philadelphia Eagles, the champs. And we've been on the air since 10:30, and we'll be on the air until the celebration ends. And then some, for goodness sake. Barrett and Ray like to partay. You see everybody here is in that spirit.
Yeah, babe, it's a party here in Philadelphia. We are finally celebrating and reaping the benefits of our Philadelphia Eagles being Super Bowl champions. This is an unbelievable feeling, unbelievable sight. You see people out there, grandparents, parents, children, out there celebrating the fact that our team has finally won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Unbelievable feeling.
Danny Palmels with a guest on bus 16.
Yeah, we are here with the longest tenured athlete currently in Philadelphia sports. That's Brent Celek. And you're rocking the Harold Carmichael, looking good.
Oh, man, Harold, I used to come in the building every day, and I used to see Harold, and that guy taught me a lot about what it means to be a professional athlete and to be a man in this league.
Talk about that a little bit more, because there seems to be a great connection between these players and wanting to do it for the guys that came before them.
Hey, these guys that came before us, they deserve it. They deserve everything that we're going through right now, and they weren't able to experience it. So I just want them to be a part of it a little bit.
I saw you, Alshon is on this bus with you, and I saw you after, when the confetti was falling, go to Alshon and give him a big hug and say, you were right about, wanting to come here and saying we were going to the Super Bowl. And talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so in April, Alshon first came here, and we're sitting in the lunchroom, and I go, Alshon, you know what it would mean if we win this Super Bowl in Philadelphia? And he looks at me and he goes, if? Brent, you mean when? And I was like, all right, bro, you said it. So we just went to work every single day. And his attitude, and I tell Alshon this all the time, his attitude on game days is second to none. I love it. It gets me going. It gets everybody going. And I just told him after it was all said and done, like, we really did it. We really did it.
You got to watch out for flying beers here. Brent Celek got his head on a swivel. But your relationship with this Philadelphia area, you're a business owner here. You've been here for more than a decade.
All right, we'll get the greatest thing we could ever think of. I know the city has won for so long. It has deserved it for so long. Everything. Philadelphia Eagles and the city of Philadelphia has won it. We got it, baby. I'm so happy.
Thanks, Brent. Michael, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Danny, we'll check back with you. Danny's on the bus. Obviously, he's wireless. Obviously, sometimes there is interference, and overpasses will do that to you. So we'll get back to Danny because we'd like to know, Ray, how much longer is Brent Celek a Philadelphia Eagle?
Boy, you'd like to keep him for a while.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I think he's still a helpful player. I mean, he's a guy that when you go to multiple tight ends, he's made himself into a really complete player. I mean, when he first came up here, he could catch the ball, a little bit more of a deep threat, but he wasn't a very good blocker by his own admission. But he understood that was his role on the team, and he worked at it to the point where he's now a very good blocking tight end. And, you know, Mike, when you look at the whole history of this organization, he's the fourth leading receiver in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, think about that. The only guys that have caught more passes are Harold Carmichael, whose jersey he's wearing today. Number 2, Pete Retzlaff, who was a great tight end back on the championship team in 1960, and Brian Westbrook. That's it. They're the only players that have ever worn an Eagles uniform that have caught more passes than Brent Celek. I mean, that's the kind of career he's had, and I think it's great on Brent's part. I don't. Really beautiful gesture that he's wearing Carmichael's jersey in this parade because, you know, Harold, like Mike Quick, was a great player for this team for many, many years and never got that opportunity to play in a Super Bowl. Got there in the playoffs with the Eagles a couple times, got to the first Super Bowl 15 in New Orleans, which they lost to Oakland. But Harold Carmichael played in more games, caught more passes, and scored more touchdowns than any player in the Eagles' history. So I know he's part of this parade, but to have Brent Celek wear his jersey in this parade, I think is really, really a great thing.
Yeah, and when you mention the Harold Carmichaels of the world and those teams, they are not championship teams.
Nope.
Barrett, do they fade from view a little bit since we have a definitive champion? We don't, you know, I've often said 4 straight Super Bowl losses by the Buffalo Bills equals 1 win. Because everybody knows the Buffalo, they say, you never know who's number 2, you only know number 1. Not so the Buffalo Bills. Eagles had those 4 straight NFC champs, 1 Super Bowl entry, but they don't have a Lombardi trophy.
Well, you know, I really think that in another city, another fan base, that could be the case. But here in Philadelphia, these guys are just like a blue-collar workers, and that's the way their image is in the league. When you're outsiders looking in, you look at other teams the way they look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They're blue-collar workers. They go out about their business, and I think that's why these teams won't be forgotten. But this team for sure will never be forgotten simply because they brought the first Super Bowl to the city of Philadelphia. These guys are immortalized at this point and will forever be revered as one of the best teams ever to be here in Philadelphia. But it does not take away from what the others have done to build the foundation. That's why you hear a lot of these players talking about, hey, older guys, you know, speaking to older guys. In fact, they've given me a couple of opportunities, the Eagles organization, to come in and talk to the younger guys, mentor the younger guys about how it is to be a pro, what it is to go out there and take care of business, and making sure that you represent your Philadelphia Eagles in the right way.
Ray, as a lifelong Philadelphian, what's it do to the psyche of a city, you know, as we define ourselves? We're a sports town, and, you know, we in no small way define ourselves by the success or failure of our teams. And when they do well, we're up, man. We're up. There's no more up than the Super Bowl champs.
No, I agree, Mike. I know exactly what you're saying there, and I think that I know what the national perception of Philadelphia fans are, and unfortunately, there are occasions where we live down to it. No kidding around about it. There have been those moments, but I really do think that this win, this moment, this day, is really what these people and this city have been waiting for and living for. And I think this is going to impact the city, whether you're a football fan or not, whether you understand the game or not, whether you've followed this team's history earlier today than not. This is going to impact everybody. This reminds me a lot of the Flyers' first parade in '74, because, listen, hockey was new to Philadelphia at that time. I mean, hockey had only been here about 6 years. But the city turned out, 2 million people turned out for that first parade. They were expecting maybe 100,000, maybe 2 million people turned out because they didn't think there were that many hockey fans. But the fact is that the city had been through a really bad time. All the teams were bad for a long time. And the city just wanted an occasion and an opportunity to celebrate. And the Flyers gave them that opportunity to celebrate, and the fans came out in huge numbers. And as a result, the guys on that team, how many of them still live in this city? They're all over the place. I mean, they all made their homes here because of that moment, because they brought this city something special, and they'll always be heroes in this town. Forevermore, they'll be heroes in this town. And I think it's going to be the same thing with these guys on this team. From the very first guy on the roster to the last guy on the roster, these guys are going to be remembered in Philadelphia forever.
Yeah, speaking of that, largest championship parades, Barrett Brooks, take a look at this. The largest, they say, is the Chicago Cubs at $5 million. But you look at the Philadelphia Flyers, they're on the board. $2 million, as Ray mentioned, in 1974. The Phillies, we witnessed, it'll be 10 years coming up on Halloween, and $2 million there. And the Blackhawks, $2 million. It's a lot of people. You think they get to that number, $5 million today? I don't know.
I think they'll be pretty doggone close to it. I really do. Ray, let me ask you the question. Who was the last player besides Brian Dawkins get inducted to the Hall of Fame as far as being an Eagle?
For being an Eagle?
Yes.
Tommy McDonald.
Probably
right?
Tommy.
So
probably Tommy in 98.
So, you know, they'll never forget our Philadelphia Eagles, whether they played back in the day when I played or even before that. This blue-collar town with authentic fans will never forget the Philadelphia Eagles here. They brought me back, and I think they'll bring a lot of players back. That's why I stayed here. This is one of the unique cities in the world that, you know, you're just ingrained into being a Philadelphia Eagle once you become a Philadelphia Eagle.
No question. I mean, Tommy still lives here. Tommy lives in King of Prussia. And one of the members of his family, someone from his family, sent me a photograph, emailed me a photograph on Sunday night of Tommy watching.
You sent it to me.
Watching
I saw that.
the game. And he was wearing an Eagles shirt, and he was giving the thumbs up. And, you know, he's been sticking with this team forever. And one of the things he always said was, God, I so much want to see the Eagles win it again. Because he was part of the 1960 team. And he enjoyed it just as much as everybody else on Sunday night, believe me.
Certainly no disrespect to that's your team, my friend, the 1960 team. You were 13 years old when you watched them win at Franklin Field, December 26th. All right, you can get up now, Taylor. Right? That's what Bednarik said to Jim Taylor as the clock swept 0 and the Eagles won the championship from the Green Bay Packers. But the fact is, now it's the Super Bowl era. And the Super Bowl era it just put football. There was a time when baseball had eclipsed football, and it was like that for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Football's #1 sport in the United States. I think we all agree. I don't have the actual statistics right in front of me, but football's numero uno.
Oh, it is for sure. And there was a time that baseball was clearly #1. College football is much bigger than pro football. But now we've obviously gone way past that. Pro football, for whatever people want to say about the TV ratings, still, over the last year, 8 of the 10 most watched shows on all of television were NFL games. So this is still America's game.
Yeah.
And right now, Philadelphia Eagles are America's team.
Yeah. By the way, you just heard one of the buses go by with Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman aboard. I believe it's the first bus containing personnel behind the Cheerleaders bus. And can you imagine what it is like to be on those buses, because it is a constant wall of sound and euphoria following you up Broad Street. Everywhere, once the buses pass, the cheering stops. But if you're on the bus, it is constant cheering, and well-deserved at that, all the way up Broad Street.
It's a great feeling.
And the Parkway. Barrett, tell us about that feeling.
Great
you
feeling.
You experienced it with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was your last year in the NFL. You won a Super Bowl, my friend. You came back from Detroit. You had the... Listen to that.
Look at that, Brian Dawkins there. Hall of Fame, Brian Dawkins.
And we will be there in August in Canton, as the Eagles will likely be as well in that Hall of Fame game. We don't know officially yet, but it could be. Opening up September 6th, the Thursday night game. They will play host to an unnamed opponent as yet, but you heard those cheers. But Barrett, what's that like?
It's an unbelievable feeling. You know, you get it feels good to be appreciated for what you do, and understanding that a whole city is out there just for you. You're the #1 team in the world, and they're giving you the praise for it. It's kind of overwhelming once you think about it. But just to put things in perspective, this is the Steelers parade was probably 1/3 of what I'm seeing right now, and they're still not all the way here yet. 1/3 of this. Yeah. This is absolutely phenomenal that I've seen this many people come to celebrate this team. This is unbelievable.
Well, the time when you did it, when you won it with the Steelers, that was Pittsburgh's 5th Super Bowl.
Exactly, one for the thumb, yes.
Right, exactly. That was the one for the thumb bowl because they had won the 4 with Chuck Noll and Bradshaw and Mean Joe and all those guys. So when yours, that was the 5th time. Now, I don't think this thing ever gets old. You know, I don't think anybody ever gets jaded by something like this. But there's really a difference between the 1st and the 5th. And that's what Philadelphia's experiencing now because they've waited for this for so long, Mike, and it's just it's a great thing. It's a great thing to see. And I know the players all talked about they were looking forward to it, but I guarantee you, none of them had any idea what this was going to be like. And this is just the start of it.
Yeah,
wait till they see the crowd that's waiting for them up here at the Art Museum.
Wait till they get on top like Rocky. And that is a platform right there with a podium on it. You might not be able to tell when it's shot from a lower angle, but you can see that and there's the Lombardi Trophy, and there's the Lombardi Trophy on either side of Ray Dittinger's head.
There's nothing sweeter than being able to hold it.
There are 2 Lombardi trophies. So I would ask you, Ray, are there 2 Lombardi trophies in the offing for this team?
You would have to think so, Mike. I mean, you've got a really good young nucleus here. You've got Carson. I mean, you won this Super Bowl without Carson Wentz, who is your franchise quarterback. He's going to be coming back next year. I don't think, one of the things you always think about when a team wins a championship is, can they maintain the hunger?
Right.
Because hunger had a lot to do with this season. The idea that you had a bunch of guys that had never won, some guys that had, but most of the guys hadn't. You had a team that had been counted out all year, a team that had to overcome so many injuries, people counting them out week after week after week. That really helped drive this team to what they ultimately accomplished.
Yeah.
Well, now when you've won it, do you lose a little bit of your edge? You know, that's one of the things all teams have to learn of. It's one of the reasons why it's so hard to repeat in this sport. And I just don't see it with this team. I think Doug Peterson has a good handle on not just the X's and O's, but the emotional component of this team. And I think you have a lot of really good veteran leaders on this team that aren't going to let this team lose its edge. And if you talk about hunger, I don't think there's going to be any hungrier player in the NFL next season than Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
When he had to sit and not be part of this, how as hard as he's worked every other year, you know how hard he's going to work to come back because he knows this is ultimately going to be on his shoulders again, and you don't have to worry about him being ready.
It is said that the hardest thing to do in sports is get to the championship game, lose, and get there again. The second most difficult thing might be winning and getting there again.
Yeah.
And it really takes a mentality beyond that of your average run-of-the-mill competitive team.
Yeah, you won't have the same amount of perceived disrespect that they had this year. They won't have that. Teams will be ready for them. They snuck up on a lot of teams this year because they thought this was just an old Eagles team. This team is a very good team, and now not just people in Philadelphia, but everybody else is taking notice how good this team is. So there won't be any of that really underdog that they can generate from everybody else. It's more so them thinking that within them.
Yeah, one of the guys who's blossomed this year, really become a great pass catcher. We had questions about it for years leading up is Nelson Aguilar. He's with Danny Pommel's on bus 16. Danny.
Wait. Well, Nelson just ran to the front of the bus. So Nelson just ran to the front of the bus. So we do not have Nelson. But I can tell you that he's having a great time himself. But the beer cans. Game, but you see up here on the fans.
All right, Danny, we'll get back to you. Those darn overpasses again. Son of a gun.
That's probably just the amount of cell phones that are going and people on social media really trying to get this moment out on the social media. Then they're not going to have a lot of good signals at all today. Everybody's celebrating our Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. One of the things, to get to your point about the difficulty of repeating, Mike, just remember, how long it's been since a team even repeated in this division. I mean, the last team that won this division back-to-back was the Andy Reid team in 03-04. So just to get out of the NFC East is going to be a challenge. Because let's face it, Mike, coming next season, everybody in the league is going to be gunning for you.
Right.
Everybody. You won't have a single easy game next year.
There is no division in football. There is no division in football that has every team with a Lombardi trophy but the NFC East. What's that say about the toughness and the history of that division?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I always thought that was probably that was the greatest pain and the greatest void, was because the NFC East has been the big boy division of pro football for so long. It's been the division with the greatest coaches, the greatest players, the greatest rivalries, the greatest history. And the Eagles were a part of it. But they were the one team that had never won it, And, the Cowboys had won 5, and the Giants had won 4, and the Redskins had won 3, and the Eagles hadn't won 1. And whenever an Eagles fan got into an argument with some Giants fan or some Cowboys fan,
one way to stop it.
Their ultimate comeback was always, how many trophies do you have?
How many Super Bowls do you have?
Well, exactly. Well, guess what? That ended Sunday night, okay? And, so maybe we don't have as many, but at least we got one. And I don't think it's going to stop here.
No, it doesn't look like it when you look at the number of players that are under contract, and not just Carson Wentz, but Alshon Jeffrey was here on a 1-year deal. They extended him. Aguilar, Zach Ertz. Offensively, I'm talking. Are there any guys that, when you talk about the needs of this team and the guys who are coming up for renegotiation, they're not a huge number.
Not really. I mean, of your starting 22, there's only one guy who's coming up on free agency, and that's not Nigel Bradham. Everybody else you've got under contract. So, yeah, I mean, this team, and, from what Doug was saying the other day, he's talked to Jason Peters. Jason Peters wants to come back.
Yeah, and Darren left tackle.
And Darren Sproles, who you lost earlier in the year, who was talking about maybe this being my last year, now he wants to come back. So some of the guys that you thought were probably only going to ride the parade and get off and wave bye-bye, it looks like you're going to have all them back next year. You're going to have Jordan Hicks back. So, I mean, I think this team is really in good shape, Mike.
How do you play those two positions in particular that you just mentioned? One, the running back position, which has done quite nicely, thank you, with LeGarrette Blount, the addition of Jay Ajayi, and now Corey Clement, goodness sakes, from right across the river as a rookie who got a touchdown pass and can run the lights out of it. So let's just starting with the running back position. You throw Darren Sproles in there, who's out?
That's going to be a tough problem. That's a good problem to have when you consider the fact that you have literally three starting backs on this team that are still under contract. LeGarrette Blount had the most yards in this last Super Bowl, who they thought was going to be one of those guys that they didn't get the positive yards out of because he's older. Ended up doing the best towards the end of the season. So that's going to be hard. Another position also is tight end, because at this point, you really have to look at who you're going to keep. Is Brent Celek going to come back? Is Trey Burton going to sign back? Those are two guys that they really were instrumental this year in their play calling and how they had personnel packages going into games.
Right. So you got that situation that's somewhat up in the air. And then Jason Peters says he wants back. Well, he's a future Hall of Famer, at least in the minds of many. So obviously he comes back. But you still have a line that is galvanized, and that left side was better than, maybe not better than anticipated, but kind of grew together by the end of the season in the Super Bowl.
Well, they certainly played well in the Super Bowl, and
against Minnesota. No,
yeah, they did. They played very well in the postseason. But obviously, if Jason Peters comes back and he's healthy, then he's your left tackle. And then you got the luxury of having a young player like Vaitai, who's still growing, who's still learning and still improving, can be your swing guy and your backup. I mean, that's a position that you love to be in, because he's still also on his rookie contract. As a lower round pick, I'm sure he's very affordable. But to me, it would be a great bonus if Jason Peters chose to come back. I really didn't expect it, Mike. I really kind of thought, it was a serious injury. He's a 36-year-old guy. He's facing a long and arduous rehab. But he wants to do it. I mean, he wants to come back and play. If he wants to come back and play, he can play for me any day.
Oh, no question. We're talking about a Pro Bowl, eventual Hall of Fame type of guy. I mean, I could virtually say I would take Big V at left tackle put Peters and insert him in at left guard, Kelsey, Brooks, and Lane Johnson, and still have the #1 offensive line in the NFL.
Yeah. I think you're true. And when I went back and watched the game again, it struck me Brandon Brooks played a sensational game. An absolutely sensational game. That right side of he and Lane Johnson, they were absolutely great on Sunday night. They really were. And I think that, well, Brooks, he got up to Pro Bowl, which means that some recognition is certainly there. But, you know, in all of our conversations about the team and all the guys that were playing well and how many guys had stepped up and really played great this year, I really don't think we ever, at least I feel like I never mentioned Brandon Brooks enough. I mean,
absolutely.
He had an outstanding season. Lane Johnson was great. We talked about Lane Johnson a lot. We didn't talk as much about Brandon Brooks. And this is the guy that went through some issues last year, Mike. You know, had to sit out a couple games because of his anxiety issues. But he came back this year. He played great football from week 1 to week 16. I'm really glad he finally got the Pro Bowl recognition because he is one of the best guards in football right now.
And he's on one of those floats down there, progressing up Broad Street. And let me just tell you why else it is so special for a championship parade to go right up Broad Street, because it's going into the neighborhoods. It's going by your house.
Yes.
That's why these guys, whether it's Bobby Clark, Bernie Perrant, Billy Barber, Cole Hamels, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Dr. J, Moses Malone, they're coming right by your front door. That cements the legend. Do you remember when, in the Flyers day, they were getting off the buses and getting beers from people in the houses, for goodness sakes. So maybe not that here, although there's Chris Long. Looks like he's
Bo Allen, him and Bo.
Yep. And they feel this. The rooftops of McDonald's occupied.
There's no better feeling than to hold the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah.
As nasty as it is, after being kissed and everything else, you still don't mind holding it up.
No.
You still don't mind holding it up.
Man, it's got too many kisses on it for me.
Let me tell you this.
Gun.
We had the option back when I played to get a Super Bowl trophy miniature that was, I think it was 1/10 the size of the original one.
Right.
And you could buy it from Tiffany, who makes the trophy. And it was $10,000.
Really?
For an 8-inch Super Bowl, 10-inch Super Bowl replica.
Really?
$10,000.
I'll take it.
Look at that. I didn't get it done.
You know, I got to say, I've been on a rant. Ray and Barrett know this, about the size of the Lombardi Trophy. And I just got off that rant and stopped it, and will forever stop it after Sunday night when I saw Darryl Green walking down the line. And there was something that was so reverential about Darryl Green in his Hall of Fame blazer, walking down that line of players, some of whom were in tears because of what they had just accomplished, and to see them pull that trophy to them and give it that kiss.
Remember, they kissed it on the way down going to the stage.
Yeah. I believe we got Dilly Dilly up in the sky. Dilly Dilly! In Philly, Philly! The Sky Riders have, and we got to give it up for Bud Light. So at some point, Mark Farzetta, we're live right now. We're live. Thanks for being on the show. Mark Farzetta joining us from the 700 level show. Doing great workout at the Super Bowl. Farsi in the field. But Bud Light, you know the story with Bud Light, and they made a bet with Lane Johnson that if the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Bud Light for everybody in Philadelphia. Just one, but they are fulfilling that today.
That's 1.8 million Bud Lights. That's a lot of Bud Light.
They can afford it.
Right. You know,
we say thank you, Bud Light, from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing, though. If a Bud Light happened to make its way up here, we would,
Who would?
We wouldn't say no.
Who would? That's what I would say no, yeah.
Dilly Dilly.
Well, this is one time where I think NBC Sports Philadelphia would have to give me some leeway. To celebrate this. I mean, this is unbelievable. I cannot believe we are celebrating right now. It's finally starting to come to me now that we are winning, that we won a Super Bowl, and they're on their way right there. Oh, there's Brad Dawkins' wife, Connie.
We provide our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl championship parade.
Wow. Ted Williams. Wow.
And we are here on our perch at the Art Museum. We are in the shadow of the George Washington statue, which bisects two beautiful fountains, which are now being used as pedestals by throngs of persons. And our backs are to the Art Museum. And it is a day that you couldn't have drawn up in a storybook. This day is spectacular.
You know what I was thinking, Mike, just watching this? The enormity of it and how truly great it is for the players, for the city, for everyone, is how different celebrating an NFL championship is now compared to what it was the other 3 times that the Eagles won. 48 and 49 and in 1960. In 48, there was no celebration.
Right.
In 48, that night after they won the game in the snowstorm, they just went back and they had a team dinner at the Bellevue Stratford. That was it. There was no public ceremony. The next year, they won the championship. They repeated. They went back to back.
Chuck Bednarik's rookie year.
Bednarik's rookie year. That is correct. 1949. They beat the Rams out in L.A. Took a train home from L.A.
How long did that take?
They took a train with the coach. Greasy Neal was afraid to fly. So they had to play the championship game in L.A., and he was afraid to fly. So he took the team on a train from Philadelphia to L.A.
Oh, my goodness.
Played the championship game and took the train home.
Oh, my goodness.
And when they got home, they had a reception at City Hall. The mayor honored them at City Hall. But it was just in the mayor's chambers. It wasn't any kind of a public ceremony. And then in 1960, when they won again, there was again no public ceremony. They had a private dinner, a team dinner for themselves that night, and then that was it. Like I said, the coach retired, the quarterback retired, and everybody went home. So now here you are, all these years later, 57 years later, and this is what a pro football championship looks like today, compared to what it used to be in yesteryear.
Yeah.
A whole different world.
It sure is. It sure is. And now we have players on buses riding up Broad Street with Lombardi trophies. It's amazing. One of the guys who was holding that Lombardi trophy, Chris Long, with his AI jersey, talked to John Clark.
All right, thank you very much. Here at Chris Long, and my goodness, did you expect it to be like this?
I knew Philly would come to play today, man. This city is awesome. This kind of embodies the way they bring it every Sunday, and now this is all of our day, man. We share this together.
How cool is it you see people hanging out of their bedroom windows, people in trees?
I love this city, man. I'm in love with this city, man. Everybody that came out here today, I feel so much love for this city, man. It's unbelievable.
How special is it to know that you're a big part of bringing this city the first Super Bowl ever, delivering it to them here?
It's special, man. I mean, just to be a part of it. There'll never be another first parade here for football, man, and it's going to be a special day. It's just getting started, and we all share this together because they waited a lot longer than the guys that have been on this team. Even the longest tenured guys. People have been waiting 40 years for this, man, and we appreciate y'all.
Tell everybody out there, I know you are in your first year here with the Eagles. There's a bunch of people in their first year, but how close is this team, togetherness of this team?
Unbelievably close. You don't overcome what we overcame this year and did what we did. Everybody counted us out. We lost Carson, JP, Sproles, Hicks, Marigot, Sturgis, a number of guys, man, and we kept on fighting, man, and that means we're brothers.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. World champs, baby!
All right, let's send it back to you.
All right, John Clark with Chris Long. Yeah, the reason you're having so much fun, Chris Long, compared to last year is because you're in a football city this year. You're not in a football city up in the Bean. No, you're not. You're in a baseball city. Remember what happened in 2004 when the Red Sox won the World Series for the first time since 1918? Well, it was a little bit more like this than it was even last year when the Red Sox celebrated their 5th Lombardi trophy. So it's just not the same thing. The Patriots got good, and that made the fans come. The fans always were here for their Philadelphia Eagles, and that's just a love story that will always be.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Jeffrey Lurie and his gold standards that he's been talking about since he purchased the team way back in my rookie year when I was his first draft class. Me, Mamula, Bobby Taylor, Chris T. Jones, all of us. And he was talking about a gold standard then. Now, he's definitely the gold standard of the NFL, winning a Super Bowl.
Ain't bragging if you can do it.
Right,
and
no
I
question.
think at the time, Jeffrey Lurie, and Ray, you can please chime in on this. At the time Jeffrey Lurie originally mentioned the Eagles being the gold standard, they were the gold standard. You know, they were coming off or in the midst of their 4 NFC championship runs, and I don't think anybody was going to argue that.
I did.
At that point. Yes, you did, Ray. Yes, you did. Why?
I did. You can't say you're the gold standard if you don't have the trophy. You know, I mean, what he was referring to was people were referring to them as being operationally ahead of some of the other teams in the league in the way that they. And I give Jeffrey and Joe Banner a lot of the credit for that, was they understood that the NFL was entering into a new era. And the salary cap was changing the way a lot of teams were doing business. And frankly, some teams were slow to catch on. The Eagles weren't. I mean, they had a game plan right from the beginning about how they were going to handle their money, how they were going to allocate their money, and how they were going to handle the salary cap. And it really allowed them to make great strides and get that team of the early 2000s that was a playoff team every year, got to be a championship team every year. And that's what he meant, that other teams around, he said, we're the envy of other teams around the league because of the way we do our business. Well, that's fine. And in some respects, you're correct. But you can't say you're the gold standard until you have this. You know, until you're driving the Lombardi Trophy down Main Street, you're still not the gold standard. Well, Jeff, guess what? You are today.
Yeah, you sure are. And I got to hand it to him because he stayed the course. He carried out the courage of his convictions. Mm-hmm. And he said the first thing was going to be accountability. And that happened this year. Everybody was accountable. There were no issues where you said, this is a problem, or this guy's out of line, or someone's being treated differently, or getting more of a break than somebody else. Look at the Parkway. So now we're looking right up the Parkway, and where we are at the Art Museum.
There they are.
I'll tell you something.
Those are my fans. Those are my people.
I know it.
Yes, that's Philadelphia at heart, right there.
They have been rocking while we have been giving you this amazing coverage that has all these cameras and reporters everywhere. The audience here, as you approach the Art Museum, has been rocking to some real great hip-hop and all sorts of music.
It's going down right now. It's going down. I'm getting more and more goosebumps, not because I'm cold, but I feel the anticipation of the crowd going. Everybody's starting to get ready for our team to roll up here at the museum.
Let's go down into the VIP area because Derek Gunn is with one of our very good friends, former Eagles wide receiver, pride of the University of Michigan, Jason Avant. Gunner.
Yeah, Michael, thank you, Jason. What do you think about this, man? This is crazy.
This is outstanding. I'm so proud of the city and the turnout that we're having. The guys deserve this. The greatest team in Eagles history. They worked hard. They sacrificed to get this. And it's just a joyful day for the city of Philadelphia. One of the proudest days I've ever been a part of. And I'm just so grateful that this team, with the unity and all the doubters and the underdogs and the players with the chips on their shoulders, did it for this city. And it's just a great testament because this city is a blue-collar, hard-working city. And this city and this team represented the city well.
Have you ever seen a team overcome so much adversity? You lose your franchise quarterback, you lose a future Hall of Fame left tackle, you lose your starting middle linebacker, and yet nothing stopped this team.
This team has been resilient all year, and it's a great testament of what Doug has got those guys to believe in, and also just creating a roster that there's not much drop-off from the starters to the second unit players. And that's a testament of what Howie's done. And people need to really give Howie a lot of credit for this roster, because when guys go down, that's usually the season. When Jason Peters goes down, that's the season. Carson goes down, that's the season. But he stocked the roster with talent, and those guys stepped up and played well, and Nick played out of his mind. The offensive line played out of their mind, and we know what the defensive line and the front seven has done all year.
You played with a team that got close.
Yeah.
Did you ever think it would take this long to finally hoist that Lombardi trophy?
You never know. Like, you never know. You think that you'll be back every year. And this league is so competitive. You need a lot of stuff to go your way in this league in order to win. You can look back over the Patriots Super Bowls. There was one play, or with Seattle or whoever, it's always one play that decides the game. So getting a few calls in our favor and these guys working hard preparing was the perfect remedy, the perfect formula for Super Bowl, and I'm so happy for this team.
I don't know about you. I can't stop my feet, the music pumping. I say you and I, let's go get lost in the party. We're going to get lost in the party. Back to you, MB.
All right, Connor, Jason Avant, we thank you. And what a great Eagle he was, and still is, really. He is right there, still a part of the organization. Danny Palmels with Lane Johnson. Danny.
From underdog to top dog. You started it all, bro. How does this feel? Getting the culmination of all your hard work.
Feels good to finally see the visions in your head come to reality. Just really about the city, embrace it. They're having the most fun with it. We haven't even got to downtown yet. It's been crazy the whole time.
Is this more than what you expected?
Yes. We stopped by Popeyes. I was hoping to get a three-piece on the way up here, but I'm enjoying it so far. It's been good.
Did you know that your hands would be tested with catching so many cans of beer?
I'm trying not to disappoint. I haven't dropped one yet to touch my hand, so we're good.
All right, so here we are during the championship parade. Doug Peterson is looking for you guys to make this a regular thing.
Yeah, I think we're in a good situation as far as talent, people that work hard. We got a good nucleus to build off of, so I don't see this ending for a little while.
So this has been kind of a season of redemption for guys who maybe weren't able to be signed with other teams and come here with one-year deals and things like that. How were you guys able to come together so fast?
We have a saying in our building. It says hungry dogs run faster. So you got guys striving to reach a goal that are hungry to succeed. That's all we are where we're at.
All right, Lane. Thank you very much. Enjoy the prayer.
All right, Danny with Lane Johnson, the stalwart right tackle for this Philadelphia Eagles team. I don't know what the deal is with the goggles, though. They're not going that fast. They're not spilling beer on each other like they are in a clubhouse after a World Series. But he feels it necessary to where I guess they're going too fast for him. His eyes are tearing.
That's great, though. You know, he's never been one that's been understated in whatever he wanted to say. He said what he said, lived up to what he wanted to live up to. You know,
they're almost up to Symphony House, so they're getting pretty far up North Broad Street.
Yeah, you can see that little cluster in the middle of Broad Street. We're looking southward toward the Delaware River and the sports complex as the procession makes its way to City Hall and then to the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, up the Parkway to the Philadelphia Museum of Art. When you think of great gatherings in our fair city, when you think of what we have hosted, nothing comes close to this. The other sports championship parades do not. The centennial, the bicentennial of our country does not. The centennial of our country in 1876 does not. The signing and ratification of the Constitution in 1787 does not. In 1776, the reading of the Declaration of Independence on or about July 8th behind Independence Hall. I mean, at that point, Philadelphia had 40,000 citizens and was the largest city in the United States. The entire country had 2.5 million persons in the entire U.S. of A. That's bigger than that's smaller than what's here right now.
Yeah, I don't know now, Mike. Ray, I still remember April 26, 1995, the Eagles selected offensive tackle from Kansas State University at the 58th pick, Barry Brook. I thought that was a pretty good day.
That was a
pretty
good
damn
day.
good
That was a
day.
good day.
No, but in all actuality, this has to be the biggest and most monumental thing I've ever been a part of. You know, even when winning the Super Bowl, this was unbelievable. The amount of people that are here, how everybody realistically are keeping things up to par. I mean, there's nothing going on. There's no fights, shootouts, or anything. Everybody's having a nice time celebrating our Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow, that's a lot of beer flying out into the crowd. They're having some fun. And so is John Clark, who moments ago caught up with Fletcher Cox.
All right, we are joined by Fletcher Cox. And just to let everybody know, if you didn't watch the film, Brandon Graham knocked that ball loose in the Super Bowl. Why? Because he had one-on-one matchup, because this man was double-teamed. You were double-teamed a lot in the Super Bowl. How much do you feel a part of this, bringing this to Philadelphia for the first time?
It's awesome, man. It's really starting to sink in, man. To see how happy the fans is right now, and how happy everybody is, and man, we're just having fun. I mean, it's, for Brandon to go out and make that play, and man, we talk about stuff like that all the time. So that's the things we do, man. That D-line, I tell you what, man, it's a special group.
Fletcher, 57 years in this town since that last NFL championship. You see people of all ages here. How special is this to bring this to Philadelphia?
Man, you can see, man, the fans, man, this whole city. I feel like everybody just came to life. We were happy to bring that trophy back where it belongs, and that's where it belongs here in Philly.
Is it better or bigger than you imagined?
I tell you what, man, that game was way bigger than us. It's bigger than this city. I mean, it's for this city. And you see how happy everybody is, and man, we just live in the moment and enjoying it.
Do you get a sense that life changes for you from this moment on? You're known around the world now.
Being legendary, baby. That's what we do. That's what's our motto.
Do you love Doug Peterson's attitude? After the game, he said, hey, we want to do this again. We want to go back again and do it again.
That's got to be a mentality. Aggressive, the way he coached, everything he do, his swag, everybody love it, man. And look, right now, we're celebrating the Super Bowl, baby.
World champ, baby! Let's go! Back to you. Thank you, Fletcher. Appreciate it.
John Clark and Fletcher Cox riding the wave of sound up Broad Street. How you doing, everybody? You ready to go? Oh, yeah.
Woo! You deserve it. You deserve to be world champion.
Here at the Art Museum, just us and a couple million of our closest friends and your world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Woo!
Of the world, baby! Of the world!
What a party! No one slept at all. Everyone's thinking parade. And we are the champions. And we reign.
One of the great things about that moment there was you saw Fletcher Cox was wearing a Reggie White jersey. And it's one of the things I really like about this team is its inclusiveness. They're sharing this championship with the fans, and they're also sharing this championship with the other generations of Eagles players. You saw Brent Celek wearing a Harold Carmichael jersey. You see Fletcher Cox wearing a Reggie White jersey. These guys, they won this for themselves. They won this for the organization, but they won it for the city, and they won it for everybody that ever wore an Eagles uniform. That is a genuine, sincere feeling that these guys have. And, I've been covering this team for a long time, Mike. I mean, a long time, since 1970. And the Vermeil team was very special for the relationship that those guys had, the 1980 team. You saw John Spagnuolo came up to our location after the game, and John was wearing his warm-up suit that he wore in Super Bowl 15.
He said it still fit him.
And I will say, it did still fit him. Good for John. But he said at the same time, and if you remember, what about this team? He said, I've never seen a greater, closer group of guys. Well, he knows of what he speaks, because the Vermeil team, that was one of the things that drove that team for that season, and he knows it when he sees it, and he certainly saw it in this year's Eagles.
He sure did. He sure did. And hence, what a party. Let's go down to Derek Gunn, who is with the governor of the Commonwealth. Gunner.
Yeah, Michael, thank you very much. And Governor, have you ever been a part of a party of this magnitude before?
Never. What a joyous occasion, and what a great thing for Pennsylvania. I'm proud to just be here and celebrate with everybody else in Pennsylvania who really loves the fact that the Eagles are the Super Bowl champions.
At what point of the season did you say to yourself, you know what, this team might do it?
I was a believer early on, but I was out at the Super Bowl. I was sitting up in the stands, and it was just so wonderful to see that team win that Super Bowl. I mean, that was a great win for Pennsylvania.
Would you like to see a Pittsburgh-Philadelphia Super Bowl one day?
Sure, that'd be a great thing for Pennsylvania. You know, Pennsylvania now has 7 Super Bowl rings. The only state that beats us is, I think, California, and they only have 8, and they have 4 teams. So I think Pennsylvania is really doing well here.
You know, if that happens, the million-dollar question is, which team are you rooting for?
I really wouldn't be able to. Under that situation, Pennsylvania wins.
Governor, thank you very much. Enjoy the celebration. It's been a long time coming, guys.
Thank you.
Connor, thank you very much. I'll tell you something. In a situation where Pittsburgh plays Philadelphia in the Super Bowl, I know there was a governor at one time who would have said, I know who I'm rooting for.
No.
It's the Philadelphia Eagles.
The Governor Rendell, he would have definitely let everybody know where his heart lies as far as when it goes to NFL football. There's no question.
It's almost happened now. It's almost happened a couple times.
I know it.
That it looked like it was heading towards Philadelphia, Pittsburgh.
04.
And these teams are, and listen, both these franchises, they're good enough right now that we could be right back there again next year.
Absolutely. And look, you root for who you root for. Where your heart goes, your heart goes. So if you're, whether you're Governor Rendell, who is from Philadelphia and would root for the Eagles, or you're Rudy Giuliani rooting for the Yankees, who rooted for them all their life, I get that. I understand that. Now Governor Christie sitting in Jerry Jones's box, that's a different story. That's that's the type of thing that'll get you ridden out of office.
Yeah,
he is out of office.
Blah,
Okay.
blah,
Anyway,
I can't. Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so,
we can't talk about that.
No, we can't.
In Dallas's press box, come on now. No, personal box.
Yeah.
No, I can't have
it. That doesn't work.
No, not at all.
Looking at, we're aboard one of the buses here as it makes its way. There's Brent Celek and team as it makes its way northward up Broad Street. Zach Ertz, what a catch he had. And Zach Ertz on Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon on NBC had about 4 Philadelphia Eagles. He had Zach Ertz, he had Alshon Jeffrey, and a couple of Nelson Aguilar as well. And Zach Ertz said when he caught that pass from Nick Foles, he knew right from the jump that it was a touchdown. He said they review all touchdowns in the NFL, so he didn't think anything of it. But then when the review carried on for a long period of time, he thought, what the heck's going on here? It was a catch. So, and sure enough, it was.
He made a football move, so that's the end of the day. That's what it was. He turned towards the end zone.
I agree with you. I thought it was a catch, but the longer it went, I really began to think they were going to overturn it. I really did. Now, it was the right call. It was completely the right call. But that review went on. It seemed like it went on forever. Almost felt like it did. But the longer it went, the more I began to wonder if they were going to overturn it. But they didn't. I mean, it was clearly a catch. And listen, there's a lot of stuff that the NFL has to work out this offseason. And Roger Goodell, the commissioner, when he did his press conference on Thursday, basically admitted that we have to really go back, and the competition committee and the rules committee and at the owners' meetings, we're really going to have to sit down and look at the rule book, specifically the catch rule, because they got to come back next year and give everybody a very clear idea of what is a catch, because the coaches don't know, the players don't know, and I'm not even sure the referees know. So they got to clarify that before next season starts.
I thought it was going to be a little Patriot mysticism going on. A little home cooking, even though they weren't home.
They weren't. I just thought the Eagles were too great. Although I was surprised that the offense of the Patriots was so prolific on Sunday, and the Eagles as well. I thought it was going to be a lower scoring game. And then the one Hank Altschuler, who happens to be my father-in-law, said, you know what? How about this? They're both cold weather teams. They're in a 70, 75-degree dome, and they just got gassed. You know, the defenses got gassed because they're not used to being on their heels that much against an offense that feels fine, right? Because they're inside. They might as well have been playing in Miami.
Two very good offenses, both playing at very high tempo. And that's going to take its toll on the defense, and it sure did in this game. But I don't know how many of the folks out there know the stat, but there were over 1,100 yards gained by the two teams. It was the most yards ever gained in any NFL game, not just postseason.
Wow.
It was the most total yardage by two teams in any game in NFL history.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know, and the fact that Nick Foles went head-to-head, mano-a-mano against the best quarterback to ever play the game and bested him is just a great, great sentiment on how this team was destined to be Super Bowl champions this year.
Yeah. Yep. And could be again. Could be again. They are midway up Broad Street. It is now 12:22 in the East in Philadelphia. You're watching NBC Sports Philadelphia and our coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl Championship Parade. They are scheduled to be here on or about 1 p.m., and you might want to push that back just a little bit because they're making their way quite slowly up Broad Street, as you would expect, with the throngs that are greeting them after such an achievement. They get here, there will be a little kind of chill out period, about 45-minute cooling off period, if you will, as they come to the back of the Art Museum. And then at some point the festivities will commence here in the Art Museum, and that's when it'll really get hopping as the team is introduced and comes down the steps like Rocky. And we are in the shadow of the Rocky statue. Rocky went up the steps, but these men will come down those steps. And I said it the other night, and I said it after we returned, and I'll say it again because of the setting we're in, and it's invoking the late, great Fred Shiro. Win tonight, guys. We'll walk together forever, is what he said to Bobby Clark and Dave Schultz and Bernie Perrant and Bill Barber before they won their first cup.
Wrote it on the blackboard in the locker room. It was still up there when they opened the doors and let the reporters in. Freddie had written it on the blackboard in the Flyers locker room. Win together, win today, walk together forever. And so true. If you see those guys today, and believe me, they're all over the place. That Flyers team, they're still all in the community. Go to any Flyers game, you turn right, you're going to bump into Bob Kelly. You turn left, you're going to bump into Bernie Perrant.
The Hound.
And those guys, it's more than 40 years later, believe me, they are still walking together.
Yeah. Chris Long now. There's Jason Kelsey running along. Jason Kelsey is going to lose 30 pounds by the end of today, and it's 30 degrees out in his Aladdin outfit. And or Mummer's outfit, I don't know which, running up Broad Street.
He's doing the reverse Broad Street run. He's going north on Broad Street. Yeah.
Now, didn't you say it's like 4.5 miles from down there to
here? It's approximately 5 miles. It's 3 and change from Broad-and-Pattison to City Hall, and it's 1 and change, 1.5, 1.5 or so from City Hall to the Art Museum.
Unbelievable.
So, Danny Palmel's, what you got, Danny? Danny's with Trey Burton.
Hey, we are with the guy who executed the Philly special right now. Trey Burton, what's this like for you right now? I see you going on and off the bus. I see you hanging around the front, really celebrating with the fans. What's this like?
It's really cool, man. These fans are unbelievable, and they deserve this.
Take me back to the Super Bowl. They called the play where you get to throw the pass. What was it like when you heard Nick come in the huddle and say, Philly special?
I made eye contact with him. I was like, all right, let's do it. And that was really it. I was just focusing.
Did the ball feel really good leaving your hand? Take me through the moment.
I mean, he was wide open, bro. Yeah.
Easy breezy. So here we are with the culmination of what's been a long season. Did you know that your hands will be tested out here on the parade route? We're trying to catch beers. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. That's what we mean. Like, there's beers flying everywhere. Did you know your hands will be tested like that?
I don't know, man, but this is wild, bro. I'll tell you that right now.
All right. Congratulations. I appreciate you taking some time with us. It's kind of ride the float at your own risk type of atmosphere out here sometimes, Michael, because fans are so excited. They're throwing beers everywhere and everything, but the players are doing a good job being good sports about it and catching the beers and drinking some of them. But I'm just giving you what's really happening out here. That's all I can say. Yeah. My photographer, Kevin Flatley, has been hit a couple times, but you got to have your head on the swivel out here, Michael.
Yeah, be careful, Flats. Kevin Flatley, our chief photographer, he's a sturdy sort, but you don't want to get hit in the head with a dilly. Don't do it. I will say you don't want to hit the guy who played quarterback on the Philly special. You don't want to hit him in the head. In fact, you don't want to hit anybody in the head. But on that play, since we're talking about it, and the crowd here is, my goodness, how amped. You can hear them in the background. And at one point, they put our voices up on the sound system here, and everybody, when we played the Fletcher Cox interview, everybody went absolutely crazy. It was unbelievable. And you can see that little cluster of people in the middle of Broad Street. That is where the procession is and was. You see the buses there coming up Broad Street. Behind them kind of fills in with all the fans after the parade has gone by, and that's in the top. You can't just out of your frame right now, but they're coming, everybody. They're coming, and we can't wait to see it. And what a ceremony it's going to be. Doug Peterson and team, I don't know that he could have ever expected this. And he has said the key to my success is never get too high and never get too low. When they tell you you can't, you're not good enough, don't get too low. When they tell you you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, don't get too high. And he has seemed to ride that line with aplomb, Ray. He really has, Barrett. I mean, this guy never let it get to his head. And that goes back to 1999 when he came in here as quarterback, and he almost got ridden out on a rail here when people wanted Donovan to play and didn't think he was up to the task.
Sure. I mean, that was the situation. I mean, they brought him in to be the guy that was going to play until Donovan was ready to play. And you had an impatient fan base that had been through a couple of bad seasons, and the public's attitude and the fans' attitude is, enough already. Come on, let's get the kid in there. Let's let him play, and let's start building this thing to where we want to go. What's this? We're just wasting time with this guy. Well, little did you know that years later he was going to come back as head coach and bring you your first Super Bowl. It is so strange, and it is so funny how things work in sports. But, you know, Doug Peterson, and this was something somebody else had pointed out to me before recently, and I hadn't really thought about it. We've all characterized and probably pigeonholed unfairly Doug Peterson as a clone of Andy Reid. We all kept saying he was Andy Reid 2.0. He's Andy Reid Jr. And certainly he played under Andy. He coached under Andy. And I know he's here largely because Andy gave him a glowing recommendation to Jeff Lurie. But everybody kind of thought that he was going to bring Andy's system here and some of Andy's failings. And, you know, everybody was expecting, he's not going to be able to manage the clock. He's not going to be able to manage a game. He's not going to be able to handle the timeouts. But that hasn't been the truth. I mean, he runs a really good game. He doesn't make those kinds of mistakes. And when you got to look at Peterson's history in its totality. He didn't just play for Andy Reid. I mean, he played for Mike Holmgren. You know, he played for Don Shula. I mean, he's been with a lot of coaches, and I think he's drawn from all of them. And what you have now is a guy that's a pretty complete coach. He's a good guy. The players really like him. That's obvious. I think he's tough when he has to be. But I think he's very fair. And the one thing he has that every good coach, winning coach, has to have is, man, he has his finger on the pulse of this football team. I mean, he knows exactly how hard to push them. He knows exactly when to back off. He has the players committee that they meet with every week to hear what's happening in the locker room, if there are any issues, things that need to be addressed. And when I really became convinced that he was a really exceptional coach and motivator was the press conference the day after the Carson Wentz injury, when the team flew back from Los Angeles and he met the assembled Philadelphia media for the first time. And the whole city was in kind of a woe is me mode. That we lost Carson Wentz, the season's over. And the assertiveness that Doug Peterson brought into that press conference and saying, hey, Carson's a great player, but we have 52 other guys in that locker room that are largely responsible for us being where we are right now. Yeah. And we're not giving up on the season, and we're not lowering our expectations. We're still going out. We're still going to play to win, and we still have the mission is still incomplete. We're still going to go there, and we're going to win football games.
When you look at this list, Ray, NFL coaches to win in their first two seasons, and Doug Peterson now heads that list. There's some other great names on that list, and Joe Gibbs, Tom Flores, unfortunately for Eagles and Eagles fans, did it against the Eagles. Mike Tomlin for the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you look at those coaches, does Doug Peterson have a chance to exceed what any of them have done?
Well, you got some of those guys are in the Hall of Fame right now, and some of those guys have won multiple Super Bowls. It's a tall mountain to climb, but for Doug Peterson to have done what he's done in this period of time, Mike, I think he's a really good coach. I admit to having questions about his hiring when he was hired, but in 2 years' time, he has totally won me over. I mean, what he did this season is really one of the great coaching jobs I've ever seen.
Yeah. Look at the look down Broad Street, and you see that where the crowd is at the top of the screen. It's just out of your, there we go, we're tilting up. But that is the crowd that is filled in after the parade has gone by. So you can perhaps make an assumption that at least some of them, a good portion of them, will end up here at the Art Museum, which is going to swell an already enormous historic crowd to otherworldly proportions. We can only imagine. Some of the VIPs are arriving. There's Darwin Walker on the left. There's the Axeman, Jeremiah Trotter. There's Jason Avant in the white cap. Freddie, I'd like to thank your hand for being so good. Freddie Mitchell is here as well. And the Eagles have gone out of their way.
And that's Charlie Mack, if you didn't know. It's Charlie Mack.
Charlie Mack?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's great to see that the Eagles have invited back all their players from years gone by. And they will enjoy this as well as they welcome the current team, Lombardi Trophy in tow. There's about 4,000 people that will be at the base of the steps between the curb and where the statue, where we are at the Art Museum, at the base of those steps. And as the camera pulls out, there's the podium, and they've done this. It's just beautifully done. It's going to be an amazing ceremony. So there's about 3,700, 4,000 folks who are going to be in those white seats, and then there's seats beyond that cross the street. And then we are actually, you see the lights, we are underneath the George Washington statue, the back end of the George Washington statue. Story of my life, right? Barrett, I'll tell you that. There's Vince Papali. We're invincible today. Vincenzo is here. And he has got to be, he's always thrilled, regardless of the day. He's got to be beyond that today as he's taking photos. We hope we see this again. We hope we see it every year, but you never know. And he's taking it all in just like the rest of us, just like the current team is on these buses. Let's go to Derek Gunner's with the Axeman. Gunner.
This guy back in the day, he was the heart and soul of this defense. You got to be as proud of these guys as anybody out there.
Yo, man, you see them people out there?
It's crazy.
That's what it's for right there. That's why I'm here, to see them guys celebrate. All them years trying to get there for them guys, and this team brought the Lombardi Trophy to this city, man. This city deserves it. They needed it, and I'm ecstatic right now.
I know you study this team, you analyze this team year in and year out. At what point of the season did you think, man, we have something special going on here?
I knew when we played Washington. I just knew. I didn't know how far we would get. I just knew those guys were having fun, man. And when you can have fun and you can buy into a system and you like your head coach, they really love Doug and they'll go to war for him. They bought into the system and they bought into each other. They play for each other and they have fun doing it. You know, you see it's evident after game, dancing, during games, in the locker room. That's the type.
You guys didn't do all that.
We didn't do all the dancing, but we had fun playing together, man. We were a close-knit family type of team, and that's the way these guys played, and that carried them all the way through the Super Bowl.
Now, for the most part, this defense was a lockdown defense for much of this season.
Right.
Who's the Axeman on this defense?
Man, I don't know who the Axeman is, but they got a lot of great players.
Who is that?
You know, listen, I love Jenkins' game. I love Jenkins, man. This guy, he is Dawkins-esque. Dawkins-esque. And I love Fletcher. I love Brandon Graham. I love the way that Brandon sets the edges. You know, Chris, I love all of it. They have a lot of great players on the team, man. And I'm just happy they all came together and brought a trophy to this city because this fan base, Eagles Nation, deserved it.
All right, before I let you go, you got to do one thing for me. You know, I don't ask a lot of things of you.
Don't ask for the axe, dog.
I want to see the axe right now. Right now. Got to see the axe. Got to see the axe. You can't leave. You can't leave until we look. You cannot deny these people to see the axe. Come on. Come on, man. No.
First of all, I might hurt my back trying to do it.
All right. That's all right. I understand you have a good medical plan.
I do. I got good, but I don't trying to go through all the rehab.
Axe. Come on, man.
No,
D-Gun only asks you one thing a year. One thing.
D-Gun. I can't do the axe, baby. Let's go to axe. Woo!
That's what I'm talking about. I knew I'd get him to do it sooner or later.
Derek Gunn with the Axeman, Jeremiah Trotter out of Stephen F. Austin. And What a guy he was. What a player. We'll get back to stories about Trot in a moment. But the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Doug Peterson, with John Clark.
Hey, we are watching Doug Peterson. He just held up the Lombardi Trophy to the fans, pumping his fist. Hey, Doug, we are live to the world right now. How special was that when you actually got off the bus and let the Eagles fans along the parade route touch the Lombardi Trophy?
You know, that's what it's all about. That's why we get in this business, obviously, to put ourselves in a position to win the Super Bowl. This is a great team, special team, and to come out here today and just kind of give a little bit back to the city of Philadelphia and these fans means a lot.
You were here as a quarterback 20 years ago and coached here. Did you imagine it would be this big?
You know what? You never know what to expect in the city of Philadelphia. This is just tremendous. This is great. These people love, obviously, these players and this organization, and we're just happy that we can, have this Lombardi Trophy here in Philadelphia.
To be the head coach that delivers the first Super Bowl to this great city of Philadelphia, how special is that to you?
It's very special. Obviously, something that will stick with me the rest of my life, the rest of my career. I'm just so happy and honored to be a part of the success that we had this year, and it's kind of a dream come true.
You realize the moment you won the Super Bowl in this parade, your life changes forever, right?
That's what they say. And after watching today, it might change a little bit.
Everybody was so impressed with you the day after when you spoke about, we're not done. This city has always had a little inferiority complex, a little insecurity. You are now setting a new norm for this town, aren't you?
That's what I want to do, Mr. Lurie hired me for a reason, and, this is obviously the beginning steps. Why can't we, as the Philadelphia Eagles, why can't we go back to the Super Bowl? Why can't we have more than one opportunity? And we're just so excited to bring the first one here and hopefully many more.
And they are chucking footballs from, oh my goodness. This is insane.
This is crazy. I love it.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Doug.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
This man delivered a Super Bowl to Philadelphia. No one has stopped smiling. And by the way, I've seen him taking just as many pictures and videos of everybody else as they are of you.
I'm going to remember this the rest of my life. I'm going to document it somehow.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Doug. Appreciate it. All right, let's send it back to you.
John Clark with Doug Peterson. Let him hear you down on Broad Street. Let Doug hear you, everybody. Man, oh man. That's amazing. To think, Ray, when we came into this team, into this situation that was uncertain, and what he has built here for himself, for his team, for this city, it's been nothing short of incredible.
Yeah, it really is, Mike. And, I really do think that his approach to the Super Bowl game, the way he just came out and attacked the Patriots right from the beginning, attacked them on offense, attacked them by formation, attacked them by play call. I really think that that's the only way you can beat Belichick, especially in a big game. If you try and play it by the book, if you try to play conventional football against them, look, they've written the book. They know everything that's within the book. If you try and stay within those normal parameters, Belichick's going to beat you most of the time, especially in the big game. The only way you can really beat him is to attack him and to think outside the box, color outside the lines. And Doug did that in this game. He never backed off. How many times during the week in press conferences was Doug asked about coaching against Belichick? The idea, what's it like to go up against Belichick, the guy that's won the most Lombardi trophies? He kept getting confronted with this idea that he was up against the master. And people basically asking him, what makes you think that you can win this game? And Doug always, he gave the Patriots the respect that they earned. He gave Belichick the respect that he was due. He gave all of that. But meanwhile, back in his room, he was plotting every way he could to beat him. And then when you do the game plan, then the other part of it is you got to have the courage on game day to go out and do the stuff you practiced. Philly special was an outside-the-box play, let's face it. And you practiced it, you had it, but you had to call it in the moment. You had to have the guts to call a play that could have possibly blown up in your face. But they called it, they scored on it, and that was the way they played all day. No fear. And that's why they're world champions today.
Well, we'll get into that in a moment. We'll get into who actually called Philly special and who actually shot the play as well.
Yes, we can talk about that.
But first, Derek Gunn is standing by. Gunner.
Yeah, Michael, I'm standing here with one of Brent Celek's former teammates, close friend of Brent Celek, former business partner of Brent Celek, Todd Harriman. Todd, you have to feel especially ecstatic for Brent because you know what he's gone through, the emotional roller coaster he's ridden just to get here.
For sure. All of those guys that, I was able to play with and see develop as players and people and just what this means to this city. It's nuts. It's madness. It's really hard to find the words to describe it, man. I can't even imagine what it means to those players to be riding down Broad Street right now.
I know you wish you could be out here as a player, and I know you guys had visions of doing this one day back when you were playing. But has this party, this celebration, exceeded even your expectations?
There's no way you could expect this. We've dreamed about this moment, and I can't even fathom what it's like where the buses are right now. Where I'm at right now, it exceeds anything I could have ever thought of. It's really a special moment for the city, and people that don't really understand the organization don't understand what this means to the city. So I'm just happy for everybody in Philadelphia, everybody that supports the Eagles, everybody that's ever played, and especially those guys on the floats right now.
I know a lot of you former players had an opportunity to have a little private get-together here at the Art Museum.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to touch the Lombardi Trophy? Did you embrace it?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Rittenhouse, so I walked here today. I wanted to walk through the streets and see exactly what it was, and it was amazing. Philadelphia is not disappointing. But to be able to get here and share this moment with my former teammates and the guys that we were able to battle and come up short so many years to this moment, it's really something special, and I'm just having a great time, man.
Todd, always good to see you, man. Thank you.
Too, man.
All right, brother.
Congrats, Philly.
Philly, back to you, Michael.
All right, Gunner, thank you. With Todd Harriman's number 79, one of the more popular Philadelphia Eagles during his time here, as we watch the buses hit City Hall. And again, that wall of sound, that wave of sound, particularly echoing now in between the buildings. Wow.
That's an unbelievable sight right there. Going down historic Philadelphia. And now on their way, coming up, crowds going nuts. These players are really going into something they never probably experienced in their life again.
And I wonder, as we saw that Todd Harriman fell in love with this city and stayed, as Barrett Brooks fell in love with this city and stayed, as other former Philadelphia Eagles did the same. When you win a championship here and you connect with the fan base on that level, whether or not we will see more than our fair share of 2017 Philadelphia Eagles remaining in Philadelphia to live out their days once their playing careers are finished. Beautiful sight.
You'll find that a lot of ex-players stay here simply because of that. Fans here and people around here never forget about you. And you still feel a sense of home, even going to a different place, of being here in Philadelphia.
It's really true, Mike. I mean, if you look at Ron Jaworski. Ron Jaworski was born in upstate New York, went to college in Ohio, began his NFL career in Los Angeles with the Rams, finished his NFL career in Kansas City with the Chiefs, but where did he make his home? He made his home in Philadelphia. And if you know Ron Jaworski today, you can't imagine any more of a Philly guy than Ron Jaworski. You can't imagine any more of a Philly guy than Dick Vermeil, who didn't even want to come here, who had to be convinced to take this job by Jim Murray. But once guys come here and they play in Philadelphia and they get to experience what this city's about and feel the love of the fans, it becomes home. And I really do think, and I think it's particularly true when you have a team that actually wins something. And we talked about how many of the old Flyers are still here, how many of the Vermeil Eagles are still here. I think it's going to be the same with these guys. I think a lot of these guys are going to make Philadelphia their home.
And they've already been brought into our homes, in some cases literally, maybe even on this parade route, we don't know, by just the sheer volume of what, and the quantity, the quality of what they've done. Let's go downstairs. Once again, Derek Gunn with a special guest.
Michael, thank you very much. And I'm standing here with a guy. Usually, when you see him at the NovaCare complex, he tells you, I don't have any comment. Well, today, I'm sure you have more than enough comments. Harold, you have been with this organization, man, since the 70s. And you watched this organization go through so many ups and downs. So many times they got close when you thought this was the year. And it didn't happen for them. But now that they finally did it, Harold, what goes through you emotionally right now?
Well, Derek, I went through two of these. As a player, coming back, playing with the Eagles, working for the Eagles, and this has really been great. You know, they say threes are chalk.
We champs, we champs.
But, you know, this has been a thrill being here, you know, just for the fans of Philadelphia. You know, I am so happy for them, happy for the whole team, especially for Nick and Doug. You know, these guys were great. Coming here, a lot of people didn't have faith in them in the beginning. I did the whole time. So this has been a great, I mean, just to see the people coming out, showing the love for the team and for the Eagles, the whole organization. To me, I tell you, there's nothing else like it.
Harold, you know what the ultimate respect is? When modern-day players remember the players who paved the way for them. Brent Celek is wearing your jersey in this parade today. Of all the numbers he could have worn, he chose your number. What does that mean to you?
This is a great honor that he's paying tribute to me for, because, you know, Brent called me the other day and said, I want to wear your jersey, but I can't find one. I said, well, Brent, they all sold out, man. You can't find one anywhere in the city, though. But I said, I'm going to look and see what I have for you. And I looked last night and I found a jersey, and I couldn't see him this morning. I said, well, I hope nobody don't listen to this, but I left my truck unlocked. You can go in my truck and get it. So he got it, but they don't know where my truck is parked anyway. But no, Brent, I mean, what an honor for him to do that. You know, my wife she's been talking about it for about since he called and all. But this is a great honor for him to do that. I mean, I'm ecstatic about it.
Harold, thank you, and enjoy this one, man. It's been a long time coming.
I'm going to enjoy all of this, you know, because we can come back next year and be here doing the same thing. I have that much confidence.
Yes, sir. That's the great Harold Carmichael. And, you know, just to put things in perspective, I can remember getting drafted, coming in here, and talking and speaking with him, talking to other guys that have been in the organization, and how tight they are still with the organization. The Eagles making a point to make sure that they interact with their alumni. And you want to be around this Philadelphia Eagles team. We got a little slighted when we had Chip Kelly here. But Doug has made it a point to bring us back into the fold, making sure that we're a part of everything that's going on. And I think it reaps benefits because not only is it a wealth of information from the older players getting to the young players, but it also brings us back being closer with the organization.
Yeah, no question, Barrett. And I think almost anybody that's an Eagles fan, you remember Harold Carmichael. You remember his career. Again, more receptions than any player in Eagles history, more touchdowns scored than any player in Eagles history. I mean, those are pretty impressive numbers. But after his career was over, he came back and worked for the organization. And one of his roles with the team was the coordinator of alumni events. And Harold kind of kept all lines of communication open. The former player wanted to come back to town and go to a game. He called Harold. Harold set him and his family up with tickets. Harold arranged all the reunions, all the gatherings, and all the stuff where guys could get together and celebrate anniversaries of this and anniversaries of that. And Harold only retired a couple years ago. So, listen, I was here when he was drafted. I was here covering this team in 1971 when Harold was drafted as a 7th-round draft pick from Southern University. I still remember being there on the first day he walked out on the practice field, and I saw this 6'8" guy, skinny kid, walk by me, and I said, oh my God, I have never seen anything in a football uniform that looks like that. He was then, and he is still today, the tallest wide receiver ever to play in the NFL.
I didn't know that.
At 6'8". So, I mean, all of us looked at him and said, this guy's green as grass. He's skinny. He's a beanpole. He's never going to last in the National Football League. Well, he only lasted long enough to set the club record for touchdowns, and he's here to share in this today, and that's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful thing. And you would think that something like this, like today, would just burnish his image, his history. Don't you think?
Oh, sure. And you saw...
As it has all of them.
Oh, sure. And you saw when Gunnar brought up what it meant to him to have Brent Celek wear his jersey in the parade. I mean, that really touched Harold. Yeah. You could tell. Because that is really the ultimate tribute. On this day, the biggest day in the history of this franchise, that Brent Celek chose to ask and chose to wear his jersey. I mean, that was a beautiful gesture on Brent's part. And you could see that it meant an awful lot to Harold.
Yeah. Special guy. I mean, if you know, as we do, Harold Carmichael, he is just the best of human beings. He's the nicest person. Asks about you the first thing every time he sees you.
Yeah, I should point out that in addition to being a 4-time Pro Bowler and the club record holder in touchdowns, he also was NFL Man of the Year one year. He won that Walter Payton Award for NFL Man of the Year for his activities off the field. So Harold Carmichael's brought a lot to the city of Philadelphia, both as a football player and a contributor to the community.
Could have won it every single year, for goodness sakes. Derek Gunn, we understand, has another special guest. Gunner.
All right, thank you very much. And, man, what a party, what a celebration. It's been a long time coming, Seth.
Unbelievable. Hey, listen, there is nothing in the world like sports to bring people together. You look at all of these people from all walks of life, all creeds and colors. The Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl win has drawn these people in together. You see young people, old people, people of different creeds and colors that are embracing each other, people crying, young kids. Hey, listen, man, this is unbelievable.
Did this parade exceed even your expectation?
Hey, listen. We left the facility at like 8 o'clock this morning. We coming down Broad Street and people were out at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, listen, this city's been waiting for this for a long, long, long time. And Philadelphia is showing out and showing the rest of the country how you celebrate a Super Bowl victory. Because I guarantee you, there hasn't been and there will never be a party like this.
You know what? A lot of teams win Super Bowls and the city celebrate, for a day, maybe a week. I have a feeling this city's going to be celebrating into April, May, and June.
Hey, listen, they'll be celebrating this going into next season. You know, you got to understand, 57 years, D-Gun, 57 years since this city has celebrated a championship. This first Super Bowl in the modern Super Bowl era, okay? So we're going to revel in this. Yeah, Doug said we want to do it again and again and again, and this is the new norm. But, hey, we're going to revel in this for a long, long time. Until we get to the next one, the party's going to continue.
Seth, thank you.
All good.
All right, Michael.
All right, Gunner, we thank you with our partner all this season, Seth Joyner, number 59 for Buddy Ryan's Eagles. And that's a great question. How long should this feeling of euphoria last? And it might as well last right on through next season until someone shows us it should stop. I mean, when you think about it, the league year is about to begin in March. The draft will begin at the end of April. There will be free agent signing periods. There will be a mini camp.
The combine's in like 2 weeks.
Right. Combine as well.
So the season, there's very little respite. And for the people that are in the organization, for the coaches, for the scouts, for the front office, the season gets rolling right now. I mean, a day, you may have a day, 2 days to celebrate and enjoy this, but you got to get back to work. You got to start preparing. You got to start scouting. Because think about it, Mike. Other teams have been done. They've been done playing for a month. They're a month into their preparation. So technically, you're a month behind those guys.
Yes.
So that's the reality of it. But that's for the organization to deal with. For the fans, hey, the fans can kick back and enjoy this until next September. Because the next NFL season will kick off in Philadelphia at the Link with the Eagles as the defending Super Bowl champions hosting whomever. And I guarantee it'll be a good game because I saw the Eagles schedule their list of opponents. They got some good opponents. They got some good, tough opponents coming in here next year, including the Minnesota Vikings. Wouldn't surprise me if that's their opening night matchup.
That'd be great. Thursday night, September 6th. Sorry to interrupt you, Ray, but we go back to that shot. That's the caravan, the procession is entering Logan Circle, and you can see on the right the Vine Street Expressway and the overpasses are stacked with people, the same as the center of Logan Circle, normally a beautiful fountain during the summertime. People are in there trying to get a good view, and then as we tilt up the parkway, the beginning of the Benjamin Franklin Parkway with all its museums, the Philadelphia Library on the right, it is a beautiful sight, and the parade going around the right side of Logan Circle, and here we are, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and it was constructed in 1876 for the centennial of the United States, and it was a little bit smaller at that time. They added the wings on, and certainly all the great works of art were to follow, but this is the first event of its kind, the celebration of a championship that we have ever seen in our fair city. It has never happened before that it has been at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. So we've celebrated a lot here. We've had fireworks displays here on July 4th. We've done it as well. Labor Day weekend. We've had great entertainment here. We've had the NFL draft here, but never celebrated our own in this manner as we do today with your Super Bowl champions. That is something to behold.
You know, one other thing about
Barrett.
One other thing about them going to being last as far as getting the preparation in. They've had all the bowl games up, with the East-West Shrine Game, Senior Bowl. And also, we have the 32nd pick. That's almost like just a second-round pick. So we got a lot of homework to do in order to catch up.
But that's why
and a low pick in order to make it happen also.
You're right, Barrett, but that's when I go to our Executive of the Year, Howie Roseman, and I think that there's quality up and down the draft. We don't know if there'll be any trade. Not that he has anything left to trade, my goodness. Right. But look, that's Chuck Bednarik. We lost Chuck within the past year, and my goodness, would he have loved this, huh, Ray?
Chuck would have been here, that's for sure. Bednarik is the only player that straddled the two championship eras. He was a rookie on the team that won in '49, and then he was a 35-year-old grizzled veteran who played 60 minutes when they won it in 1960. One of the great players, and not just in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, but in the history of the National Football League.
Yeah, but he might have said, you know what, they're okay, but my guys were better. My guys were tougher, right? And that would have been Chuck.
Chuck probably would have said something like that. Yeah, I'm sure he would have. He was proud and justly proud of his career. He is. And I still believe this. From an era of back then when some guys did play both ways, it was not unheard of guys in the 40s and 50s to play both offense and defense. It happened. But what I think made Bednarik unique in the history of the game, in my opinion, is he didn't just play two positions, but he was the best player at two positions.
Yeah.
He was the best center in the NFL in those years, and he was the best linebacker. I don't think there's ever been a player in the league that you could say that about.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Also, Ray, just to get back, I didn't want to interrupt you before. You're talking about the potential of the Eagles opening up September 6th, which customarily goes to the reigning Super Bowl champion at home. It's a Thursday night game, and whether or not it would be the team they vanquished in the NFC Championship game, the Minnesota Vikings, that would be fantastic if that were the case.
They like to do those rematches. You can play a divisional game, a divisional opponent anytime. But if you can get a rematch like that, that's one that I would not surprise me to see that first game be Minnesota here. And what a great way to kick off the season. But one of the things that comes along with this, and Barrett knows this too, one of the things that comes along with being number one, being the champ, is your schedule next year is a tough one. You get every division's leader. Everybody that's coming out of division is a good team. You're going to get a really tough schedule, and you're going to get everybody's best shot because you're the champ.
Right.
So the Eagles have to be ready for that. If they're going to defend their title, they have to understand that it's going to be a 16-week slugfest.
Yep.
I know when I won the Super Bowl, that year, the next year, we didn't even make the playoffs. It was that bad because you're no longer sneaking up on anybody. Now you're on everybody's list as far as being a Super Bowl champion. So you're going to get everybody's best. You're going to give everybody's A game. And you cannot think that, teams are looking at the city of Philadelphia and the way they are partying right now, that they're not going to want to knock them off their perch.
Sure. Let them come and let them try.
Yeah,
okay?
There we go. There we go.
Put them right back in their holes.
Woo! Let's go, baby.
You know that.
Let's start the season over right now.
Absolutely. Well, and that is really the glory of this victory, is that we do celebrate it right on through the remainder of winter into the springtime. And the NFL, I must say, has done a great job of creating these milestones throughout the year where we got to stand and take notice, whether it is the combine, whether it is the draft, whether it is the free agency signing period and all the explosive signs, or mini camp that begins at the end of April, that little lull that happens at the beginning of July, and then pow, here we are again, man. You kidding me?
Yep. You know what's going to be fun, Mike? And I'm looking forward to this. The draft this year is in Dallas.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the Cowboys Stadium.
They stole it from us.
Yeah, well, be that as it may,
yes,
it's going to be in the Cowboys Stadium. And at some point, the Eagles are going to be making a selection. And there's going to be a former Eagle player, who knows, might even be Barrett, gets invited up to the microphone to announce the Eagles pick. Yeah. And to a stadium full of Cowboys fans, that guy's going to be able to say, and with the 32nd pick or whatever, the world champion, the Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles select, and you'll be able to do it right there in Big D. I mean, how cool is that?
I'd rather you do it because they wouldn't boo you. They got enough respect for you. With me, I would make it, I would send a chill down their spine how loud and how I said it to. I would just make it just demeaning in every way to every Dallas fan. I'm just telling you the truth.
I'll tell you who would be a good one to send to do that.
Who's that?
Seth.
Yeah,
right
there.
Think Seth could bring it home? I think so.
This is one of the images of the parade that will stay with me, I can tell you. A look at Swoop and the confetti and a distant look at the Eagles coming up Benjamin Franklin Parkway.
Look at that picture, Mike.
That is just amazing. As they are about halfway up the parkway from Logan Circle before they get to the Eakins Oval right here, Thomas Eakins. And what the Art Museum and the city have done in decorating the museum with the Lombardi trophies, with the Eagles logo, and you could not have asked for a better day on this beautiful February day when we celebrate this championship. Everybody, from what we are seeing, everybody looks happy, everybody's getting along, everybody is joyous. There have been no arguments, no fights. I can't promise that, but it looks like that.
I would venture to say that it's probably 3 times as many people as it was during the draft last year. Looking at that.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to remember what the totals were on the draft. Just the first night total, not the. This is a one-shot deal today, and the draft. I don't know that the draft had 1 million people. And this is well over,
wasn't it like 250,000 people?
I think it was like 250,000.
Yeah,
that was the number that they were talking about.
Yeah,
but I think that was over the course of the weekend. What you're seeing here today, Mike, far exceeds that. I mean, we're sitting here and we can look down the Parkway. I mean, it is wall-to-wall, solid people as far as you can see.
Right.
I mean, all the way down, as far as we can see, almost down to City Hall. I mean, it is people shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, wall to wall, filling the streets, filling every inch of space. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, I've covered some events in the city. I've covered some news events as well as sports events. I've never seen anything like this, but it's not unexpected, Mike.
No.
We often said if the Eagles ever brought home the Lombardi Trophy, this would be exactly how it would look,
yes.
And it does.
Well, Ray, all due respect, speak for yourself, because my friend, I couldn't conceive of how it would look. I could never even take myself to that spot until today. The sheer joy of it, the numbers of it, that all these people, it's amazing. Also, perhaps it's time to start recognizing the Philadelphia Museum of Art as the go-to spot. It is the image that we project in Philadelphia. The Rocky statue is there. It's got all these great works of art from the world over. You can dress it, well, it is dressed up. You can dress it down. You can do anything you want with it. And it always comes off smelling like a rose.
It's the cheesesteak of Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, let's not, no. Cheesesteak, I don't know. Maybe filet mignon. Maybe, but when you look at it, it is inviting, it is embracing, and it is a point of destination for tourists the world over and for Philadelphians when it really counts, when it really matters. And it does today.
It is the #1 tourist attraction in the city now. There are more people that visit the Rocky statue and run these steps than go to see the Liberty Bell or Independence Hall. That's how iconic the whole Rocky story has become. And people come from literally all over the world to run those steps and to see the statue and get their picture taken next to it. It is an amazing thing when you consider the original Rocky, that first film, was 1976. And that's more than 40 years ago, and yet that story still resonates with people. And here today, it's taken on a whole new dimension with this Eagles celebration.
The Eagles Championship Parade, as we watch the caravan come up the parkway, that is something. The Eagles Championship Parade is brought to you by Acme. Congratulations to our world champion Eagles. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles. By Dunkin' Donuts, the official coffee of your Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles fans, run on Dunkin'. By Sugar House Casino. Philly loves a winner. Sugar House Casino salutes Philadelphia's newest champions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And by Royal Farms. Be sure to pick up some Royal Farms world-famous chicken today. Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast. And we are back at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And waiting for our heroes. There are the Rocky sneakers that are forever inlaid in the top of the steps, and that is the spot at which Rocky, portrayed by Philadelphia's own Sylvester Stallone, ran those steps exhaustedly, ran those steps in failure until finally, in peak condition, he mounted those steps and saluted all of Philadelphia in the pre-dawn morning. A spectacular sight. And today, our champions, our real champions, will descend those steps to our adulation, our ever-living love and adulation.
Look at this.
Something.
Look at that, man.
It's amazing.
This is nothing like what I had in Pittsburgh. Not even close. This is unimaginable to me that this team can bring this many people together in this much harmony, and there's nothing going on but celebration of the Super Bowl, man. This even Pittsburgh, it wasn't even close to this. Yeah. Nothing.
And I think coming up Broad Street was like an hors d'oeuvre. Now we're getting to the main course here. And I don't know whether or not it will be, the main course will be up on that stage, whether that's the main course or the dessert, because this is pretty special here. Huge. As the confetti cannons just shooting off all that confetti over the Eagles. And there's Nick Foles. That's the first time I've seen Nick Foles. Looks like to the far right is Carson Wentz. And in the middle, I think that's Nate Sudfeld in the middle. And I can't see through the confetti who is holding the Lombardi trophy. But Jeffrey Lurie.
That's Jeffrey Lurie. That's our owner.
And it was the hat. I didn't recognize him in the hat. But Nick Foles and Ray, now it can be told, a couple of things. One, your son David Dittinger for NFL Films shot that Nick Foles was shooting the camera that captured Nick Foles running over to the sideline to Doug Peterson during the timeout, and it was Nick Foles who suggested the play to Doug Peterson, not the other way around. Doug Peterson gave a stamp of approval, but Foles came up with the idea first.
Yeah, they conferred on the sidelines, and Doug said, "What do you want?" And that's when Nick said, "Why don't we do Philly?" And Doug said, "Okay, let's do it." But it was Foles' suggestion. And my son, you're right, my son David, who's a shooter for NFL Films, they had Foles wired for that game. And David's responsibility, he was in the top camera shooting Foles throughout the game. And he said to me, when he came to visit us on the set that night, he said, "Dad, you know, Foles called that play." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "He went over and he told Peterson, this is what I want to run." And sure enough, there it was. And he got a great shot of it. I mean, he shot it beautifully. And I told him, now, you have a piece of video that is going to play forever. I mean, your grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, are going to be watching that, because that's going to go down as one of the great plays in NFL history, one of the gutsiest calls and one of the greatest plays in one of the greatest games in Super Bowl history.
Yeah, it sure was. And to show the kind of guy Nick Foles was, I had the opportunity to interview him on Monday, the day after the Super Bowl. He was in Disney World in Orlando, Florida, as all the MVPs are, the day after the game. And I asked him about that play, and it appeared for all the world that when he ran over to Doug Peterson, Peterson kind of held up the chart in his face and pointed to something, and that was the deal. You run this play. And Nick Foles never disagreed with that.
No.
He just went with that.
What he said was, well, we talked about it.
Yeah.
But he never once said, no, I actually made the call.
Yeah.
He said, no, we talked about it. But in fact, if you see the video, and I guess everybody has seen it by now, it was Nick's idea to run that play. And boy, did they ever.
And the acting job, again, hearing Corey Clement and Jay Ajayi talk about it on Jimmy Kimmel, they practiced it about 3 times. That was all, which doesn't seem to be enough when your game's on the line and it's 4th and short from the goal line and you got to make a play. But they practiced it 3 times, according to Clement and Ajayi, and Nick Foles ran it to a fare-thee-well. He said, look, I just kept at it until I got my part right, at least.
Yeah, the thing is, there's so many things that can go wrong in a play like that. I mean, the formation is odd just by the way it's designed. You could have a lineman out of position. You could have a wide receiver off the line of scrimmage. You could have an illegal formation. Would have been so easy to do.
No question.
You're snapping the ball directly to Corey Clement, who's a free agent rookie. He's pitching the ball to Trey Burton, who's your second linebacker. He's throwing a pass to Nick Foles, who's never caught a pass in the NFL. That play could have gone wrong 100 different ways.
Right.
But they when the moment when they had to do it, they executed it perfectly. And I'll tell you, Mike, I've been watching Bill Belichick football for, it feels like 100 years. And you never see a Belichick defense caught flat-footed. But, man, they were caught flat-footed that day.
They sure were. And guess what, guys? Our Super Bowl champions are upon us as the lead float containing the Eagles cheerleaders and all the lead vehicles are entering Aikens Oval. There they are. There's Brian Dawkins. Right there with him.
Hall of Fame, Brian Dawkins.
Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins.
That's his wife Connie next to him.
Mm-hmm. And I would only assume that we will be in Canton come August, and I believe that's August 2nd for the Hall of Fame game and then Hall of Fame weekend. And Brian Dawkins will be wearing a gold jacket, yellow jacket. Join his friend Ray Dittinger in there. But to see this, to see the number of people, and I'm just looking at this slice, my little slice, looking to my left, to watch these floats come in, and the number of people is staggering. I mean, it's just staggering. They cannot move. All they can do is cheer their lungs out. And you're getting that sense right there, because this is what we're looking at, is what you're looking at right now, from that angle.
You can't tell me there's no less than a couple million people here. You can't tell me there's no less.
Oh, no, way over there.
What is it? You witness history right here. This is history in the making.
You know, Mike, there's in the movie Creed, which was the latest movie in the Rocky series, there's a great line in that movie where at the end of the film, Stallone is standing on the top of the steps here at the Art Museum.
Yeah.
And he says, you know, sometimes you can stand up here and you feel like you see your whole life before you. And it was a great line in the movie, but it also applies today. I think for any Eagles fan or any of these guys that are going to be standing up there in just a few minutes, I think this is a day when you can say that you stand up here and you can see your whole life before you.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of true right now.
Sure is. You're at the pinnacle. You're at the apex. There's nothing higher. You've done everything you can do. And this is the result. You get to ride on the shoulders of your adoring fans. And that's what they're doing. And as you see this, they are actually going behind the Art Museum. And they will take a little breather. They will disembark the buses. And they'll have time for some light refreshments and a little food. And then at some point, and I have right now 1:17, so they're 17 minutes behind the schedule that was touted, which is fine. But, and we are on the air until conclusion, obviously. But they're going to take a little break. But we will be here. And the choppers are overhead. The drones are overhead. It's amazing. This is the spot in the universe right now. It's Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the Museum of Art.
I got chills in my spine right now. I got goosebumps on my arm.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm cold, because I'm witnessing history. I'm able to be a broadcaster on the greatest event in sports history here in Philadelphia. This is an honor to be next to you gentlemen. The fact that we called at the end of the game, we did the post game together. We witnessed Ray Diddy and his son, and how emotional a moment that was will forever be etched in my brain on how a father and son have won a lifetime, and being able to sit there between the both of them and sit back and listen to the Super Bowl together.
It was a beautiful moment, Barrett. It's one that I'll always remember. I felt a little funny about it at the time because
you're modest. Yeah, you're too modest. That's what it is. You're just too damn modest.
I don't want to ever sort of step over the lines and from being a reporter to being a fan. But that wasn't about being a fan. That was about being a father.
Yes.
And that's something that fathers and sons share. And I think the governor said it exactly right that night when David and I hugged. The governor said, not Governor Wolf, but Governor Rendell, our governor, said, this scene is happening in living rooms all over Philadelphia. And he was 100% right. And it's still going on. And it's probably going to be going on for a long time.
It will. And I mentioned Rob Ellis's piece before. He wrote a great piece with video that showed you and David hugging. It showed you with Amy Badul the day after, but it also showed Danny Pommel's talking about his own dad and what a win like this would mean for his father. And it showed Jason Kelsey. And so it was really three different spheres, fathers and sons, Danny thinking about his dad, but also Jason Kelsey being told he was too small, he'd never make it, you should quit, you're not good enough, you're not big enough, and his parents telling him, stay with it, son, stay with it, you're going to be somebody, and you're going to be successful at this sport. And the moment got to him to such a degree, he couldn't handle it anymore. He just broke down right there at the podium at the Super Bowl. And I understand it. It was a beautiful moment. But that's what this is about.
Yes, it is.
All
no
of this.
question.
It's not about the X's and O's today. It's about the result of the X's and O's. And really, that result is a lifetime's worth of joy for families, fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, every manner of community here in Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
And any Eagles fans.
Well, think about this, Mike. Think about the number of people that have come back to the city for this.
Yeah.
You know, people that were Eagles fans, grew up here, had family here, had roots here, that have relocated all over the country. They're coming back. I mean, I've heard from a bunch of them. I've seen I've heard about people, and I've heard from people who are living elsewhere that got on a plane, packed a bag, and came here just because they wanted to be here for this moment. I mean, that's what this means to people, not just the people that are still here now, but people that have any connection to the city of Philadelphia. This is uniting millions here, but millions more in other places.
Yeah, we were sitting back in the newsroom at NBC Sports Philadelphia, and I got an intimate conversation with Rob, and Rob was saying, Rob Ellis, that he can't wait till the time if they win this Super Bowl. The fact that he would call his father, and he'd be busting out into tears, and he's not really an emotional guy unless he's mad. But the emotional tears, he gets off in his rants. But the emotional tears he have. And then, the relationship with him and his son on how they're going to all these sports events and all that type of stuff. And, Booney, my producer on Quick Slants, him being with his son, Dan Roach being with his son and his daughter and his wife. And, Sean talking about all these September Super Bowls that we've had. September Super Bowl that he coined, where they would go 4-0 or 3-1 thinking they'd go into the Super Bowl. They didn't. Well, now, we are now Super Bowl champions. And they can celebrate like every other team in the NFC East.
Yeah. As we welcome you to the Art Museum, Barrett Brooks, Ray Dittinger, Michael Barkan, and behind us will be the stage that has been set since Sunday after the Eagles won Super Bowl 52. It is a beautiful day here in Philadelphia. Flags blowing just a little bit, temperature about 30 degrees, scheduled to go up to 34 for a high. It is chilly, don't make any mistake about that, but certainly the warmth and glow of a Super Bowl championship will do away with any of that. You can see how the players are dressed on the buses, some of them perhaps a little too lightly dressed, but I'm sure it will not affect them. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more discussion about this great team, and we'll get you all set for the festivities to come from the Art Museum. The Eagles Championship Parade is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota is a proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Visit buyatoyota.com. By Long & Foster Real Estate, celebrating 50 years of bringing people home. By Chevrolet. By New Roads at your local Chevy dealer. And by Bud Light, reminding you to enjoy it responsibly on this Philly Day.
Cheers to your champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Dunkin' Donuts is proud to congratulate the Eagles on their historic season. On behalf of this great city and the most passionate fans in the league, Dunkin' Donuts thanks you, your city, your coffee, and now your world champions. Eagles fans run on Dunkin'.
Come and see what's happening at your local Acme. Better sale prices, superior service, and great quality products. Cleaner, friendlier, fresher. Like fresher meat and seafood. And fresher produce and hundreds of organics. And our butchers cut our USDA choice Lancaster beef in store every day. So stop in, shop, and see for yourself why Acme is just better. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's the Bud Night. It's the Bud Night. We're saved. Yes.
Time to do what must be done. I did it.
Here's to the friends you can always count on.
Home. There are many ways to define that word. For some, it's a place to park their car, hang their hat, or catch a game. For others, it's a place to paint, clean, and do yard work. For us, it's where we bring people together, where we make dreams come true, and where happiness finds its place, which is at the heart of what we do. There's a new way home at longandfoster.com.
The all-new 2018 Camry can handle whatever winter dishes out. That's because it comes standard with Toyota Safety Sense, an advanced suite of active safety technology to help you stay alert to changing road conditions. With intuitive features like a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, Toyota Safety Sense provides peace of mind. Plus, you can enjoy the Camry's aggressive new style and thrilling performance all winter long. Tested, trusted Toyota. To find your Toyota and your nearest Tri-State Toyota dealer, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
The Eagles Championship Parade is brought to you by Acme. Congratulations to our world champion Eagles. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles. By Dunkin' Donuts, the official coffee of your Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles fans, run on Dunkin'. By Sugar House Casino. Philly loves a winner. Sugar House Casino salutes Philadelphia's newest champions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And by Royal Farms. Be sure to pick up some Royal Farms world famous chicken today. Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast. We are live in Philadelphia on NBC Sports Philadelphia and our continuing coverage of the Eagles Super Bowl Championship Parade, which began at 10:30, our coverage at least, and the buses left on or about 11 o'clock from Lincoln Financial Field, made a left turn onto Patterson Avenue, right turn onto Broad Street. It was all Broad Street till they got to City Hall, went the left side of City Hall, and then started on the Parkway, made a right on 16th Street, got the Parkway again, and they shot straight up the Parkway, and that's the view. Schuylkill River in the distance, and a beautiful day. Absolutely, Barrett Brooks. Beautiful day. And there are the buses pulling up to the back of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And that is really, it's a beautiful entrance as well. As if you go to the art museum time to time, you will see the back entrance is a beautiful, and they will take a little respite, have some food, have some drink, and then they will come out onto the steps, the Rocky Steps, as they have become known, and we will begin our festivities, honoring this team for the ages, honoring the very first Eagles team to ever win a Super Bowl, and the first to win an NFL championship since the Bednarik, Buck Shaw, Norm Van Brocklin, Tommy McDonald Eagles of 1960 over the Green Bay Packers. Has not happened since then, and many thought it would never happen. Many wondered what it would be like when it did, and this is the result. If you couldn't go there before, this is the reality of it. Welcome to our parade. Man, just beautiful.
That's sink in? That's sunk in for you, Ray?
I think it's sinking in now, Barrett. I for the longest time, I can't say I gave up on this day coming, but I really wondered. I really felt like every year, you started every season, and I've been covering this team since 1970. So I've been around this team, and I followed them as a boy from the 50s. But I covered them on a daily basis from 1970 on. And sometimes you go to training camp, and training camp would start, and 2 weeks in, you knew this was a season going nowhere.
Yeah.
And there was no worse feeling in the world to be at the end of July, and you already know the season's over, and it hasn't even started. And then there are other years that start with great expectation, when you think that this is a team that really has a chance to go all the way. And I've felt that with this team a couple of times. I felt it with this team in 2004. I thought they were really close. I thought they could win it that year. Well, we know what happened. They came up short in Jacksonville against the New England Patriots. I didn't really have this feeling about this team in training camp, but I felt it early in the regular season. And Mike, and you guys were both there. I'm telling you, when Jake Elliott kicked that 61-yard field goal to win the Week 3 game against the Giants, I turned to Seth and I said, this might be the year. You know?
Wow.
Because to me, and you can ask Seth about that, because he gave me a funny look, but something like that, a guy who's only been with the team 10 days comes in and kicks the longest field goal in franchise history to win a game in that fashion. To me, it only makes sense in the context of a much larger story. You know, it only makes sense if there's a bigger picture there. And, well, guess what? This is the bigger picture, because this is where it all led.
I can remember coming up to you a lot of times I've been with you guys for the past 3 seasons, and I would come over and I'd say, Ray, what you thinking of? And you'd always start with, well, Barrett, whenever you said well, Barrett, I knew you weren't too high on your positive list.
That's true.
But I came to you and I asked you how's that, you said, things are looking pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Not well, Barrett, but things are looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And I said, has he changed? Something going on? What's going on?
I'm telling you, on Sunday, I was so confident that team was going to win. And it's crazy when you look at who you were playing and everything that was going against them. I just felt complete and utter confidence that this was going to happen. I just felt it that day, and I felt it even right down to the end when the Patriots came back in the fourth quarter and went ahead.
Yeah.
And you kind of felt even the Eagles fans, who by the way outnumbered the New England fans at least 7-1.
No question.
In the stadium that day, you could kind of feel for the first time the Eagles fans kind of sagged a little bit because they thought, here come the Patriots again. But the Eagles got the ball back, 14 plays, 75 yards, took the lead, and it was over. It was, as Seth would say, it was a wrap.
It was a wrap. I felt similar to my feelings prior to the game 13 years ago against Atlanta in the NFC Championship game, when I remember we were all saying, well, they should win. I mean, but the way things have gone before, I felt the same way against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They should win. Got a real good offense. They don't have the go-to quarterback, but they got a pretty good quarterback. They have a defense that has been stifling, although it got toasted, as did the Patriots defense on Sunday. But really, the difference, the play calling, the coaching, the quarterback, and I just thought during the regular season, they had an answer for everything. As we take a look at some of the VIPs, there's Darwin Walker there with the Eagles cap on, and he's being obscured right now, but certainly the Eagles. Sean Landetta, I believe, to the right. They brought all. I think that's so great that they remembered how this franchise was built, that even though the Super Bowl team resides on those buses right now, they are here on the backs of all those like Barrett Brooks that have come before, that have helped to build this franchise. And again, another shout out to Howie Roseman, who was cast aside, who was castigated, who was completely, virtually emasculated. I'll never forget the time he was asked about the Marcus Smith sign and the Marcus Smith acquisition, who traded for him, and he seemed like shrunken, after Chip had left, and Jeff Lurie said he wanted accountability. He said, I'll take responsibility for it. I will. And how he has grown his base back and built this team.
Yeah.
That will last for a while. Put a shirt on, man. Put a shirt on.
There's, and that's one of the reasons why I think the Philadelphia fans really identify so strongly with this team and this group of guys. Is they really are almost every person you can think of got here in an underdog kind of way. From even Carson Wentz, from North Dakota State. I mean, who comes from North Dakota State and is an MVP? But this kid was certainly on his way. Doug Peterson came in as an underdog coach. Howie Roseman was certainly put through the mill in what happened with him with Chip Kelly. He returned to the general managership as something of an underdog. And you have a lot of them up and down this roster. But I really think that's one of the forces that kind of galvanized this team and drove them through this season, because they had many, many opportunities to just quit or roll over. And they didn't. Yeah. I mean, for all the adversity they faced, they just kept getting stronger and more determined. And by the time they got to the playoffs, they loved being the underdog.
Yeah.
Because it fit their mentality, it fit their mindset, and it fit their personality. And once they got to that game, I got to tell you, I was so glad that it was the Patriots. Because there were people that said, wouldn't you have rather seen the Eagles, wouldn't you have rather seen the Jacksonville in this game? Wouldn't you have rather played the Jaguars? Mm-hmm. If I was the Eagles, no. Let's go play the best.
Right through the tough one.
Let's go take on the big bad dragon. Let's go take on the best team of all time. Because if you win the championship and you beat those guys, nobody can say a word about it. You have proven that you beat the best on the biggest stage.
Want to let you hear some of the sights and sounds from the Art Museum as Swoop takes to the steps, and there's nothing like a dance and swoop. So take a listen. House of Pain, Ray's the one who said, can you get House of Pain on, please? Like the end of the Sixers game. Somewhere around here is Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and J.J. Redick and maybe even Brett Brown. Somewhere around here, you know that. Just pure joy. And they've been here since before dawn. Camping out, some of them.
This is history in the making. History in the making.
And again, noting what has gone past with the papal visits, noting Welcome America and July 4th and Labor Day that have all seen appearances here. Nothing has this number of people.
This far surpasses any event I've seen in Philadelphia, and I've been here since 1995. That's 23 years that I've been. In fact, I've been in the city of Philadelphia longer than I've lived back home in St. Louis. I am now concretely a Philadelphian now because I've lived here more than I've lived anywhere else. And I have never seen anything in the likes of this in my life.
Let me tell you something.
That's been a part of it.
First off, we'll tell you if you're a Philadelphian or not, okay? Ray, tell him he's a Philadelphian.
Oh, he is, totally.
I appreciate it.
You know what, Mike? I got to tell you something. A number of years ago, I guess it was like 04, 05, the second version of Live Aid came to Philadelphia, and they did it out here on the Parkway.
Yep.
And there was a lull between the acts. And to pass the time during the lull between the acts, the crowd started doing the Eagles chant.
Right.
Okay. And I remember hearing that and thinking, wouldn't it be cool if they could actually come back here and do that for a Super Bowl parade? And lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah. Also, the idea of coming to the Art Museum, because the Phillies parade worked out perfectly. They went, there's Dave Spadaro, Merrill Reese. Merrill Reese just completing his 41st year as the voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, and still sounds just as great as he did on day one. Got to call his first ever Super Bowl championship. He might have played a round of golf today. I don't know. Perhaps could Merrill be, maybe he's just, he's up there on the steps. He's well above the platform with Spuds over on the right. He's on the right side. Derek Gunn has a special guest. Gunner! We'll get back to you, Gunner. Hang on one second. Derek Gunn's going to join us. All right, go ahead, Gunner. No, we'll get to Derek Gunn in just a short bit. Some audio problems, but we will overcome them as we continue our look at the crowd and everybody having such a great time. And by the way, it looks like all of the buses are now either directly behind the Museum of Art or alongside the Museum of Art. Remember, there are nearly 24 buses carrying Doug Peterson, coaching staff, team, families of team members, and so it's going to take a little while to get them into the Art Museum. Woo! On the big screen there, people are looking at the big. There's John Spagnola, who stopped by our booth after the Super Bowl.
And that was the gentleman, and that's Vince, right there on the right. And the gentleman that John was hugging a moment ago was Ken Dunnick.
Ken Dunnick, tight end.
Who was the tight end on that 1980 team.
Also played for the Stars.
That is right.
Ken Dunnick. And you know, you don't know what celebrities we will see, we will find here. I think we worked out our audio issues. Gunner!
All right, thank you very much. Now, this is Delilah Giddings, and according to event planners here, you were the first official person on site at 9:58 p.m. last night. What does that mean to you?
It means so much to me. It means all the love, all the care that I have for the Philadelphia Eagles. I love them. It means so much to me.
Now, you came with your son, Solomon. What did you guys do for accommodation in terms of braving the elements last night?
Yes, we brought our beach chairs. We had our finger warmers, our gloves, scarves, and hats on, and we shared blankets together.
This celebration is crazy. Is this more than you ever thought it would be?
No, this is exactly what I thought it would be. Love. Lots of love from Philadelphia. The city of brotherly love. That's all we have here.
Did you think it would take this long for the Eagles to ever win a Super Bowl?
No, I always had faith in the Eagles, and I knew they was going to win when we started off.
How long do you think this party's going to last?
Oh, this is going to last for a good while.
Next year.
Yeah. It's going to last until next year. We're going to party. We're going to constantly go because we're going to win next year again.
Let's get started.
Yes.
10:58 p.m. My goodness. Now, I know our senior vice president, executive producer of live events, Sean Alexiak, was out here all day, as was our producer, J.R. Quiller, our director, Nick Marquetta. They were out here all day. It was pouring rain. I mean, Sean ruined a brand new pair of sneakers, which apparently you're reimbursing him for, I believe. That.
Oh, who's that?
But Sean and Nick and JR, they do the Sixers games, by the way. JR and Nick have done such a great job on this telecast. Amazing under Sean's direction. But it was pouring rain yesterday, and to get all this up and running, yesterday in particular, really presented its share of problems. But no job too big or too small for those guys. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue to set the stage for the big festivities to come as we celebrate the Eagles' first ever Super Bowl championship. The Eagles Championship Parade is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota is a proud automotive partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Visit buyatoyota.com. By Long & Foster Real Estate, celebrating 50 years of bringing people home. By Chevrolet, find new roads at your local Chevy dealer. And by Bud Light, reminding you to enjoy it responsibly on this Philly Day.
Cheers to your champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Dunkin' Donuts is proud to congratulate the Eagles on their historic season. On behalf of this great city and the most passionate fans in the league, Dunkin' Donuts thanks you, your city, your coffee, and now your world champions. Eagles fans run on Dunkin'.
Eagles of Philadelphia. Well, I'm surprised to see you guys here. I thought it was all over. But even though the king is never wrong, it looks like I was wrong, which I never am. The injury gods threw mud at you, but the perseverance gods wiped you off and patted your behind. So for you, I'll say it only once. Philly, Philly!
Here's to the friends you can always count on.
Welcome to the Auto Show. How's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Let's check out some Chevys. What's your first impression here?
This car is really amazing. This is nice. That's awesome.
And what if I told you that you can get Auto Show cash right now?
Cashback is always great. Oh my God.
Get 0% financing for 60 months on this 2018 Chevy Equinox LT. Or use your Auto Show bonus cash to get $3,250 total cash allowance when you finance with GM Financial. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Home. There are many ways to define that word. For some, it's a place to park their car, hang their hat, or catch a game. For others, it's a place to paint, clean, and do yard work. For us, it's where we bring people together, where we make dreams come true, and where happiness finds its place, which is at the heart of what we do. There's a new way home at longandfoster.com.
Cheers to your champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Dunkin' Donuts is proud to congratulate the Eagles on their historic season. On behalf of this great city and the most passionate fans in the league, Dunkin' Donuts thanks you, your city, your coffee, and now your world champions. Eagles fans run on Dunkin'.
The Eagles Championship Parade is brought to you by Acme. Congratulations to our world champion Eagles. Acme, the official supermarket of the Philadelphia Eagles. By Dunkin' Donuts, the official coffee of your Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles fans run on Dunkin'. By Sugar House Casino. Philly loves a winner. Sugar House Casino salutes Philadelphia's newest champions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And by Royal Farms. Be sure to pick up some Royal Farms world-famous chicken today. Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast. Live from the Art Museum, it's NBC Sports Philadelphia's continuing coverage of the Eagles Super Bowl championship parade and festivities. We're at the base of the Art Museum, and there's Governor Tom Wolf coming down to take his place among the faithful. I say faithful, I don't know if we would include Governor Wolf there, because he said to Derek Gunn he would not pick a favorite between the Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles, which I think is a major cop-out, Gov. Our Gov wouldn't do that. You kidding? He would go right for the Birds. But Governor Wolf said if there was an Eagles-Steelers Super Bowl, he would reserve a pick, which we'll see about that should that ever happen. But the dignitaries, VIPs, are coming down the Art Museum steps. Some of them have come from the buses with the team members. And it occurs to me why else this day is so important. Because not only are we celebrating for ourselves, not only are we rejoicing because our team won it all, but we want everybody in the whole stinking world to see us celebrate and rejoice. Because, as Tug McGraw said when the Phillies won in 1980, look what we got. See that? And you don't.
So, and we're doing it with class, though. That's the big thing. We're doing it with class. They say everything about our fans. Well, look at us now. We're highlighting. We're the gems right now of the NFL world. And look how we're sitting back celebrating with our team with the utmost in classy fashion, man.
Absolutely. And it continues. And we can only imagine the explosion of sound. As much noise has been made going up Broad Street and that whole wall wave of sound that the team has been riding this 5-mile trip to the Art Museum. Once they all come out, and I would imagine whether Merrill is introduced or just takes the stage, because Merrill Reese will be, I think this might be, there's some applause from the fans, but once the team is introduced, it's going to be an explosion, Ray, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's really a great thing to see this happen in the city of Philadelphia, because I'm a native Philadelphian, so maybe I'm a little biased, but the roots of professional football are very, very deep here. I mean, the Eagles franchise has been around. It was one of the cornerstone franchises of the league, 1933. Before them, there was the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets, who actually won an NFL championship in 1925. That was the first championship in the city. But you think about, Bert Bell, Philadelphian, University of Pennsylvania graduate, commissioner of the National Football League, had the NFL headquarters were actually in Philadelphia for many years. The first NFL draft was held in Philadelphia. That was why a couple of years ago, when they made the decision to take the draft out of New York and begin moving it around, I was kind of hoping that they would come to Philadelphia first, because this is where it all started. Well, okay, they went to Chicago for a couple of years, but then they came to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia showed them how to do it right. And I know it's going to come back again, and it should come back again, but as great as the draft was, hey, this is better. And you think about this, and Barrett said it earlier, and he's right. You look at this NFL season. This NFL season started in Philadelphia with the draft, and it's going to end in Philadelphia today with a Super Bowl parade.
Sure is. And you mentioned Bert Bell. I think he once told me he used to do the NFL schedule in his basement, right?
He did it at his kitchen table. He did the entire NFL schedule sitting at his kitchen table with a cup of coffee and a legal tablet. Sort of like me.
Yeah. Well, no, you're going to be writing more than that, because, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you that there will be a new and improved edition of the Philadelphia Eagles Encyclopedia, authored by Ray Dittinger. He will be doing it at his kitchen table forthwith, as soon as this week is over. Is that correct?
You're not kidding. There is going to be a new edition of the Eagles Encyclopedia, and it's going to be called Eagles Encyclopedia Super Bowl Edition.
Yes, indeed.
I've been waiting a lifetime to write this book. The only trouble is I now have to write 45,000 words in 4 weeks. So, Mike, you're not going to be seeing very much of me after we leave the art museum today.
Well, it's about that time anyway.
That's right. But guess what, Barrett? We will be seeing him at his villa once the book goes bestseller.
There we go.
Because that will be that is what will assuredly happen. And the clamor for this book, as there is for anything Eagles. I was at Dick's Sporting Goods yesterday buying some things to keep me warm. My wife and daughter were buying some Eagles gear to wear to the parade today. We paid, by the way, and love everybody at Dick's. But it was, my goodness, it's like stuff was like going out of style.
Yeah,
you know?
it was.
Derek Gunn with the dignitaries and a very special guest, Gunner.
And, Michael, there is nobody more special than this guy. I've had the pleasure of knowing him for a long time. And Doc, you're so passionate, so emotional. You bleed Eagles green. Man, what do you think about your city right now?
Man, this is outstanding. This is what it's supposed to be here in Philadelphia. I mean, it started off with the draft. The electricity was used throughout the season and all the way up to the pinnacle and winning the Super Bowl. So, I mean, Philadelphia, enjoy this. Enjoy the heck out of this. Long time coming, but enjoy this. You deserve it. You deserve it.
I can't say this enough. You and I talked about this back in August. You prophesied that this was going to happen. I said, I don't know, Doc. They're pretty good, but I don't know. And you said, watch what I'm telling you.
You know, one of the blessings I have with working where I work now is being able to see the coaches and the time that they put in. Not just the time, but the quality time that they put in, the late hours that they spend, making sure they have the specific game plan for these guys. The guys have gone out and hold one another accountable. They love one another. You can see that love continue to grow during the season. And so when you see those things, you just recognize something special. And then I also had a strong feeling that this was that year.
You're named to the Hall of Fame on a Saturday. Your team wins its first ever Super Bowl on Sunday. Have you ever had a better 24 hours?
Listen, I mean, I've had better 24 hours is obviously my beautiful wife getting married to her, the renewal to her, my beautiful children being born. But I tell you what, to have both of those things happen, I don't know if that's ever happened before. And all I can say is hallelujah. You know, thank you, Jesus, because like He's blessed me tremendously. With even last year, I know, even when I didn't make it last year, I was upset, and some things had to come out of me, I believe, and I learned more about myself, and I gave up some things in order to enjoy this thing a lot more this year. So, I mean, I'm just so thankful and so blessed to be where I am.
A lot of people doubted Jeffrey Lurie, doubted Howie Roseman, doubted Doug Peterson even. They can doubt no more.
I mean, they can doubt all they want going forward. It doesn't make a difference because Philadelphia, you are champions. Football, like champions, and you're Hall of Famers. So whatever they doubt, it doesn't matter anymore. I think we have a formula in place to continue to build upon that, this won't be our last.
Final question to you. What will you remember most about this particular moment?
About this particular
moment?
Yeah. Oh, man. The fans. It's the fans. Going down Broad Street and being able to make eye contact with as many as I can so I can just say thank you. Thank you. This is you. Like, I'm just knowing that they're enjoying it the way that they're enjoying it, and they will continue to enjoy it going forward, and that stigma, that angst, that block is gone since 1960. It's been there. Now that's free. You can exhale, Philadelphia. Enjoy this. You're champions.
And Doc, thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Playful Brian Dawkins, that's right. And you're a champion too, Doc. You always were. You don't have to have a ring to be a champion, as Barrett Brooks knows, although he does have a ring. But Brian Dawkins going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame come August, and he might have the most special day of all of us. No, he was not on the team, but he's involved with the team, and coinciding with the Eagles' first Super Bowl victory is his selection to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That is unbelievable. To have those two events conjoined forever in a day is, I can't imagine what it must be like.
He just said it. He just said it. The fact that they won a Super Bowl and he was a Hall of Famer. He didn't know this happened to any other athlete before since, football started. When does that ever happen to him?
Yeah.
Most popular player that I've seen in my years of covering the Eagles, Brian Dawkins. He connected with the fans of this city in a way that no one else did. I mean, the fans identified with his spirit, how tough he was, how physical he was. I mean, this is a city that I've always felt honors hard-hitting defensive football more than wide-open, flashy scoring. This is another way I think Philadelphia is kind of unique in the NFL. Other franchises, they honor the quarterbacks, they honor the receivers, they honor the running backs. They love the teams that pile up the points. But I've always felt that Philadelphia identifies with the heart and soul of great defense. And you look back over the history of this franchise, they have really kind of identified with the defensive players. Going back to Bednarik, going through Reggie, Seth, Jerome, those guys. And then Doc is certainly the modern generation embodiment of that sort of spirit. And I know the people in the city here were very disappointed when Doc didn't get in last year. But to have him go in this year as part of the Super Bowl weekend was just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Here's Dave Spinero.
We are here to celebrate the Super Bowl 52 champion, Philadelphia Eagles! I'm Dave Spinero, Eagles Insider, and I, like every one of you, have dreamed about this day my entire life. And here we are! The entire Philadelphia Eagles organization would like to thank the millions of fans who have filled this city with Eagles green on this glorious day. And we also want to welcome all of those fans watching across the country and around the globe. You are the best fans in the world, and we love you. If we could, for just a moment, also remember those loved ones no longer with us, who love the Eagles with every fiber in their body. And thank the past players and coaches and administrators who have helped build the Eagles into what they are today, champions of the world! Now it's time to get this party started. Please welcome the fabulous Eagles cheerleaders and the Eagles pep band as we all sing the Eagles fight song. In the NFL. Sunday's Super Bowl was one of the most entertaining and exhilarating games of all time. Heroes everywhere in that game. Let's take a look back at that very special moment in Philadelphia Eagles history.
There were high hopes when the Eagles started training camp in early August. Maybe we thought, maybe this team, if they stayed healthy, could contend for a playoff spot. but nobody envisioned that we'd be here today.
Now, the Eagles have had a good amount of success over the last half century, but what's eluded them, of course, is the Lombardi Trophy. That's the one thing that's missing. Will that drought end tonight here in Minneapolis?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Super Bowl 52.
2 weeks of hype, and it's time for a game to break out, and not soon enough. Foles flushed out, keeps his eyes downfield, and completes it to Alshon Jeffrey. Foles deep in the pocket, fires downfield, and that is hauled in at the 38-yard line by Torrey Smith.
Ball is spotted, the kick is up, and the kick is good, and the Eagles lead Super Bowl 52, 3-0.
Blunt is the running back. LeGarrette Blunt over the right side, breaks free into Patriot territory and spun down at the 33-yard line by Deron Harmon.
Foles fakes. He's back. He steps up. He is going deep, and it is caught by Alshon Jeffrey for a touchdown.
Oh, what a great catch by Alshon Jeffrey.
The former Bear, 34 yards and a touchdown. And the ball is handed off to Brandon Cooks, who tries to hurdle and can't. Brandon Cooks taking some shot there. Great catch over the shoulder.
Blunt across the 20, the 50, the 10, the 5. The train is in the end zone.
Corey Clement breaks the tackle inside the 20.
Are they really going to go for this?
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Philly special. Ready? Here we go.
Here we go. This could decide the game.
Easy. Kill. Lane.
Foles running up and down the line. It's a direct snap, and it goes to Clement, who gives it off to Burton, the tight end, who then throws in the end zone. Touchdown! Foles caught the ball, and a touchdown pass in the yard by the tight end. What did we just see?
I was doing it right there. Great job.
Everything today.
Let's go, big job.
Catch him and throw him.
This play call has a chance to be remembered as one of the all-time greats.
Holds back again. He is going deep, and is it a touchdown?
It is.
It is touchdown. It goes all the way down. A 22-yard touchdown to Clement.
And they go for it. And Foles under pressure throws caught just enough for the first down.
Back goes Foles. Fires. Slant. Touchdown. Zach Ertz.
2nd and 2. Brady gets hit. The ball is out. And Philadelphia has it. Derek Barnett comes away with it. Brandon Graham was one of the guys who got in there.
Ball is spotted. The kick is away. And the kick is gone! 9 seconds left. What a game. We will never forget this. Eagles by 8. Brady. He steps up. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone. And it is incomplete. And the game is over. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
There's going to be a parade on Broad Street. Hey, man, if this is a dream, don't wake me up. We're going to have a parade on Broad Street. Hey, we're going to have a parade.
The Eagles have won the Super Bowl.
Oh, my goodness.
Eagles fans, it is my honor to introduce a member of the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame, our play-by-play voice for more than 40 years. Please welcome the great Merrill Reese.
Thank you very much. It is so amazing to be here today. What a great feeling. We have waited so long, but our dream has finally come true. The Eagles have won the Super Bowl. They are the world champions. Without any further delay, let's welcome your Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles.
champions. Gotta be one of them.
You please rise, remove your hats, and members of the armed forces and veterans salutes. Our nation's colors are presented by the Philadelphia Police Department Honor Guard, and performing our national anthem is Dr. Jesse McGuire. Behind you guys, turn. Behind. Turn. Turn the colors for here. I would like to welcome two very special guests to the podium, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf and Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney.
Hello, Eagles fans. I am here to deliver a simple message, and that is, all Pennsylvania is proud of what you all did. Pennsylvania is proud of Jeff Lurie for making the investments he made in this team. Pennsylvania is proud of the molding that Coach Peterson did for this team. Pennsylvania is proud of you fans for what you have done to support and believe in this team. And finally, Pennsylvania is proud of this team. Pennsylvania is proud of this team for the way they play, and Pennsylvania is proud of the way this team lives its lives. Thank you very much, and congratulations. Go Eagles!
It's always sunny in Philadelphia, especially when the Eagles are world champions. This time, this town, and this team were perfect together. We want to thank all the players and their families for the hard work, the coaches and their families for their hard work, the ownership, Jeffrey Lurie, Don Smolenski. You've made our lives perfect now because the chip is off our shoulder. We are now world champions. God bless you all. And I want to thank this crowd and this group of folks out here, millions of you, for showing the love that you have for each other for this team. God bless you all. Go Birds!
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to introduce the man who has overseen this franchise for 23 years. He purchased the Eagles back in 1994 and launched the most successful run in the organization's history, establishing a winning tradition both on and off the field. Under his leadership, the Eagles have compiled a greater overall winning percentage, more playoff appearances, and more playoff victories than it had under all previous owners combined. He led the Eagles to 8 NFC East titles, 6 NFC Championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and now the franchise's first Super Bowl championship. It is a great honor to introduce the chairman and CEO of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie.
Wow. For the millions of Eagles fans here in Philly, all over America and around the world, this Super Bowl championship is for you. You are the most passionate and deserving sports fans on the planet. We couldn't have done it without you. You are a huge part of our Eagles family. Together, we brought Philly this world championship. I want to congratulate our players, who are the most impressive group of men I have ever been around. Our coaches, led by Doug Peterson, are savvy, humble, relentless, and fearless. Our football operations, smartly and creatively led by Howie Roseman. And our business operations, astutely led by Don Smolenski. This Eagles team won a world championship because it epitomizes what this great city and this great country can be at its best. When you treasure selflessness, compassion, teamwork, trust in and love of each other, and incredible resilience through all the adversity, and combine it with great focus and strategy, you become a world championship family. Philly, you are Super Bowl champions, and I have one final message for you. We are just beginning. I want to recognize all the great Eagles players who laid the foundation for this historic franchise. Many of them are here today, and I just want to recognize you all, because without you, we're not here. I also want to recognize the newest member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, all-time Eagle great Brian Dawkins. I want now to turn this over to our Super Bowl champion head coach. Go Eagles!
City of Philadelphia, these men up here beside me just won Super Bowl 52. I'm so proud of this group of men. The dedication, the commitment, the desire, and the will to never quit. This is a resilient group. This is a group that fought through a lot of injury, adversity. The underdog, right? The underdog. This is a group that I'll always remember for sticking together, for trusting in me as the head football coach, and trusting in Mr. Lurie, and trusting in each other. I love these guys. We brought you guys a world championship, and just like Mr. Lurie said, we are not done yet. We have more to go, more to prove. This is our new norm. This is our new norm, to be playing football in February. I'm so proud to represent this group, this city, and this organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach. It wasn't too long ago that the Eagles were a team in transition. And since then, excellent drafting, shrewd moves in free agency, deft wheeling and dealing. And here the Eagles are as the champions of the world. Responsible for that, please welcome Howie Roseman.
Philly, is this what heaven's like? This is the best city in the world, with the best fans in the world, and now we have the World Championship. Get used to it, let's go!
It's time now to meet some of the players responsible for all of us being here today. First up, he threw 3 touchdown passes and caught the Philly special in the Super Bowl. Please welcome the MVP, Nick Foles.
I don't think words can really describe what is going on here today. I've never seen so many people in one spot celebrating in unity one thing. To be a part of the Philadelphia Eagles, to be a part of these guys, it's one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. It is an honor for us to have bring you all to the Super Bowl. We finally did it. We're Super Bowl champs.
Next up, one of the great players at his position in the history of the NFL, a 9-time Pro Bowler, 7 times with the Eagles. Unfortunately, wasn't there on the field to help this team win the Super Bowl, but a great asset off the field, helping the Eagles get here today. Please welcome the bodyguard, left tackle, Jason Peters.
What's up, LA? I want y'all to make some noise for the 2018 Super Bowl champs. Because I want to thank each and every one of these guys for going out there and fighting for me. You know, when I went down, Wentz went down, Sproles went down, Hicks, Marigos, a bunch of guys went down, key guys. All 3 phases of the game went down. And these guys never batted an eye. Y'all never stopped rooting for us. And in the end, we all believed in each other. And that's why we're the world champs. Super Bowl 52, baby.
Next, one of the team captains, one of the leaders, one of the great special teams players in all of the NFL. Please welcome Chris Maragos.
Yo, Philly, hey. I anticipated y'all being lit, but man, y'all know how to party. Man, it's so good being here with you guys today. You know, like JP said, we went down earlier in the year, but I saw a different perspective than I did when I was playing. You see, when you're a player, you put your head down and you grind. And I was able to look up a little bit this year, and you know what I saw? I saw a team full of passion. I saw a fan base that hurts when we hurt. a fan base that celebrates when we celebrate. And today, I saw a place that parties when we party. Congratulations, Philadelphia. You deserve this more than anybody in the world. We're 2018 world champions. Congratulations.
Next, the longest tenured athlete in Philadelphia, a leader in the locker room. Please welcome number 87, tight end, Brent Celek.
Hey, Philly, I love you. Philly, I just know when I was drafted here in 2007, there was one thing that all the fans said that they wanted, and that was a world championship. And today, we celebrate the fact that Philly has a world championship. To all the fans out there that have supported us, I love each and every one of you. You all know that Philly is my home, and Philly is world champs today. I love y'all.
We've been introducing these players one at a time. Right now, we make an exception. Please welcome the underdogs, Chris Long and Lane Johnson. Center of the football universe. Let me hear you bark a little. Hey, we want to break a world record right now. We want to get the loudest E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles chant of all time. Lane, kick it off, baby.
A one, a two, a three.
E-A-G-L-E-S
If you like the way this feels and you want to start feeling it more often, give me a hell yeah.
Hey, today, the bottom line is, son, we are the center of the football universe, and they got to live with the underdogs, baby, because we are the center of the football universe. Go Eagles. Thank you. Fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. Tom Brady on the field. Eagles needed a stop. The defense rose to the occasion. Number 55 off the edge. Brandon Graham, the big play. The strip sack. Please welcome Brandon Graham.
What up, though, baby? We got us a championship, baby. It took me 8 years, for all my life for real, but I appreciate y'all, for embracing us, this year, because, we know we've been through some ups and downs, and we could easily gave it away, and gave up on each other, but we didn't, and we stayed together, and that's that brotherly love we talk about in Philadelphia, and we stayed together, and we made it happen. 2018 World Champions, baby, let's do it.
Nick Foles brought it home at the quarterback position, but we would not be here today